Today's guest is a world-class hypnotist who has changed the lives of over 10,000 people with his work.
The way I induce people is far beyond what anyone else can do.
Notably, he's hypnotized a liberal to like Trump, YouTubers Sam and Colby to break down in tears, and even Jake Paul to knock out Nate Robinson in 2018.
When you look at all these school shootings, they say shit like, please make this voice in my head stop. I truly believe that someone is hypnotizing these poor kids to go kill other kids.
In the past year alone, he's made $35 million net, reprogramming people's minds to overcome their limiting beliefs and unlock their fullest potential.
Making a lot of money is hard. Getting in shape is hard. You look at it differently because you worked on your mindset. Easy.
Marczell, Klein, welcome to the Jack Neel Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And guys, if you stick around to the end of the show, Marczell here is going to hypnotize me to fall asleep, not be able to move, and even quit an addiction I have. So keep watching. So you claim to be the world's best hypnotist. How did you come to that conclusion?
If you look at most hypnotherapists or hypnotists, they'll hypnotize people in a setting, they'll pick the best subject, and hopefully they'll get some kind of result. But if you look at them and you look at how much time it takes them to go from point A to point B, it's never quick, it's never instant. My stuff is so ridiculous that everyone looks at it and goes, oh, it must be a paid actor, it must be fake. Oh, there's no way that's real. And when you ask, hey, why am I the best? There are layers to hypnosis and there are layers to persuasion that people don't see. We can dive into it in the podcast, but the idea is simple. It's that there are a lot of layers of what people don't see. And I think that confidence is massive, authority is massive. A lot of people are missing those two factors when they are hypnotizing others or influencing others. So when you look at other hypnotists, it's not that they're bad. It's just that they have a lot of limiting beliefs themselves. Most of them are really broke, and the ones that aren't broke aren't really rich. So they have limits. Every hypnotist thinks you can't hypnotize someone who doesn't want to be hypnotized. They think that you can't hypnotize everyone. They think some subjects are better than others. In my mind, everyone's the same. It's like, hey, look, there's a key that unlocks everyone's mindset. You just can't use the same thing with everyone. And all of them kind of repeat the same thing. They all sound the same. It's like they parrot one another, and they have this weird tone. I just find it to be inauthentic. I think the thing that I do, which is different, is it almost sounds like I'm talking to you. Like I'm just talking to you normally, and then someone's in trance, and they may not even know that they're in trance. They could do it with their eyes open. Like I've had it where I remember I was talking to someone in the mall, eyes wide open, made him forget his name, made him forget where he was, made him forget everything about it without him ever closing his eyes, and it took me about 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
So why are you so fast?
I think it's because I just look for shortcuts. My brain is wired for the shortcut. What's the fastest way to get the result? What's the fastest way to make more money? What's the fastest way to get in shape? What's the fastest way to get results, period? I think a lot of people always think that it takes a long time to gain success or to make a change. What I found is that it can happen instantly. If you want to make a massive change in your life, that change can happen in a moment. You just have to come to the decision where you make that change. A lot of people take a long time to come to that decision. Like let's say you want to get married. It takes you a year, 2 years, 3 years to decide that you're going to propose and then get married. It takes people time to walk away from something. It takes time to start a business or a job. For me, it's like the second I even have an urge or a feeling, I act on it. And I think a lot of people lack the confidence to do that, which is why they hold themselves back. When you're really unbelievably confident and you believe in yourself unconditionally, there is no limit to what you can accomplish and how quickly you could do it in every field.
So how do you make $1 million in 10 minutes?
So I charge $1 million to work with someone one-on-one. I actually really make more than $1 million in 10 minutes because I take equity in companies. So the $1 million is to get me interested and to know that they're not wasting my time. The equity aspect is what I'm most interested in because it's actually less worth it for me. Now, someone listening to this might be like, oh, this guy's full of shit. So I'll explain. When I first started my career, when I was doing my first successful year, I think I did $750,000. And as good as that is, I was living in a mansion, I had 2 cars, 3 cars, and that was like, wow, oh my God. But it wasn't anywhere near where I was. And that was in 2020, 2021. I hit 6.5 million in profit. That was my first year scaling. 2022, I did over 10. 2023, we're at over 15. And then this year is we're already surpassed last year and it's July, right? So
and that's net?
That's net.
Oh, so you've done 20 mil.
I would say I'm probably on track to do 30 to 40 this year. That's strictly because of the way I structure my business, which is completely different than how most people structure theirs. Everyone likes to go low ticket. In a recession, most people lower their prices. What I do, the only time I ever lower my price is to get more leads through the door. It's not because that's where I actually make money. People are like, oh, he's selling a $50 program. I don't care if you buy the $50 program. It doesn't change my life one way or the other. Yeah. What I care about is getting people into my ecosystem. And then what you'll find is that once you bring everyone into the ecosystem, then it's unlimited money. Now, the biggest thing that I make money on is ads, like paid traffic, cold traffic. Took me years and years and years to acquire the data to get to where I'm at now, where I have unbelievably qualified leads. People would be surprised. It's like, you think there aren't a lot of people who have money. There are so many people with money. There's so much money out there, and you could just sell it. So, I think a better way to answer that question for you is you could sell someone, one-on-one coaching, for example, for me, and people might be like, why would I pay $1 million to pay this guy? Well, it's because I can literally do things for them that no one else can do. I could literally snap my fingers. Now you're confident. Now you go to the gym. Now you wake up at 5 a.m. Now you think bigger. Now you're more consistent. Now you stop your gambling and your drugs, and you did that all in the first session with me. That's just one session. Now imagine what happens in a year. So to someone who's going through a lot or hasn't been able to fight their demons, they've gone to therapy, they've tried everything, they come to me, and then they're like, oh my God, this finally made the impact I was looking for. And then on top of that, I teach them really, really valuable skills. I coach them in their company. I show them how to scale. I think differently than most people. I think that's what people come to me for, is less the hypnosis, even though I'm really good at it. I think they come to me because of how I think. And the way I think is, how do you get from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time? And because I have a different lens on the world, and I've seen so many other industries, every industry you can think of, everything from import, export, to tech, to crypto, real estate, doesn't matter what. I've seen every industry. I know what's booming. Car industry, everything. I can tell you, hey, when you're looking at all of these people and you want to know how to make more money, the idea is less about how you make $1 million in 10 minutes. It's more so, what did it take to become the guy who can make $1 million in 10 minutes? Yeah. And I think the answer to that is, one, studying. I'm obsessed. Like anything I study, I have to be the best at. So for me, mindset, psychology, confidence, personal development, I have probably listened to every single speaker speak on repeat. Most people listen to the radio. I listen to public speakers. I study this 24/7. I understand the cadence, the tone, the tempo, when and why you say what you say. The words. I can listen to someone talk to me, and although they think that they're slick, I know exactly what their intentions are. I can see through all of that. And most people can't, because there are layers to everything someone does, even gestures, hand gestures, unconscious movements, unconscious communication. And once you start to see the world through that lens, all of a sudden, a lot of windows and opportunities open up. Imagine walking into a room with investors. I think this would be really valuable to anyone listening. The most valuable skill in the world is EQ. So if you have a really high emotional intelligence, you can walk into a room with investors and they throw money at you because they want to work with you. They believe in you. A lot of people struggle with not only confidence, but influencing someone to do what they want. So, people pay me a lot of money, but they pay me a lot of money because I get them the best result in the shortest amount of time. If you are in any industry and you're able to get the best results in the shortest amount of time, you could charge the premium. The reason people pay me is because I am the best in the world at what I do. Yep. There's no one who can compare. I go on stage. You have a problem? Come on stage. Sleep. Problem's gone. Like, no one else in the world has a seminar where person after person after person comes up on stage and I just change their life. Oh, you have a stutter? It's gone. You're not confident? Oh, you're literally trembling. Your legs are shaking because you have no confidence, and your biggest fear in the world is public speaking. Boom, gone. Suddenly they're speaking as confidently as me. They're yelling on stage. They're happy. They're laughing. They're charismatic. They're pausing. They're cracking jokes. All in 30 seconds. And it's all on footage. It's all on video. None of what I'm saying, go on my YouTube channel. You could literally go through my YouTube videos, watch my seminar speaking, and you'll see me call people up on the spot. I think that's what makes me different than most people, is that I'm not talking about the result. I literally display it in real time. I had a seminar in January. Guy came there. Most he's ever made was $20,000, the most. Hypnotized him on stage. He was like, he totally had a breakdown. Like, he was crying, he was crazy. The next day he pulls me aside. He's like, listen, I made $100K an hour after the seminar ended because I got rid of all my limiting beliefs.
And the most he made was $20K in a day?
In a month.
In a month.
In a month. And he made $100K the same day he had a breakthrough. So, I think a lot of people who are watching, they can make way more money like that. Mm-hmm. They just have to make a shift unconsciously. And if they make that shift, everything happens for them. It's like, most of the time you think of income, you're like, oh, I have gradual increases. It's never gradual. It's always a massive jump, and then you have another massive jump, and then another massive jump, because every time you have a jump, there was a mindset shift that happened before that. And if you could just replicate and multiply those mindset shifts, instead of doing it over the course of years, you do it over the course of days or weeks, suddenly your income will skyrocket. Why jump from this step to this step when I can go from this one to this one? And that's what I try to get people to think. Think bigger, because you can have way more if you just make a shift.
Marczell, you talk about being able to fix people's stutters or being able to boost their confidence in minutes. What's the craziest thing you've done with hypnosis?
I think the craziest thing, there's a lot of stuff, right? like to me, when I first started, the coolest thing was to make someone forget their name. What are you born with? You're born with your name, or like turning a gay guy straight, a straight guy gay to see if it'll happen.
Yeah, can you tell that story really quick?
Yeah, it was 2018. I went to this girl's house. I was going on a date, and she had a friend over and her girlfriend over, and it was a gay guy that was there. And he's like, I don't believe in hypnosis. And it was literally right after the election with Trump. He's president 2 years in, right? And they're talking shit about him. They're at FITM. It's a fashion school in downtown. Anyways, so he's like, hypnotize me. So I hypnotize him. I make him love Trump. I make him straight. I change his name to Tiffany. And then he ends up being so confident, so charismatic, he actually took my date. And he ended up getting with my date that night. And I was like, I didn't even know how to feel about it because I was excited to see her. But then I saw this and so many limiting beliefs got shattered. Because I was like, if this is possible, then everything I've been
And this
taught,
guy like only dated men before.
only dated men. Yeah. And, if you ask if he's gay again, yeah, he is gay again. He came out of trance probably like a couple of days after that. But, that night he was straight. And when I saw that, I was like, damn. And if I started doing research on sexuality and a bunch of other stuff, because I was like, I thought you're born gay or you're born straight. And a lot of times you are, but there's other variables. For example, ancient Romans or Spartans used to sleep with each other. They'd be homosexual, bisexual. They'd do all that, and it was normalized in their society. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, I guess a lot of sexuality is cultural, but how much can you change? So I started experimenting. I'd hypnotize people to be in love with like a water bottle. And they'd fall in love with the water bottle. They'd take care of it. They'd kiss it. They'd be like, don't touch it. They'd get jealous over it. And I realized you can copy and paste emotions onto anything. So if you take emotions of confidence or comfort and you copy and paste, let's say, I tie my shoe comfortably. If you take that emotion and you associate it to making more money, or you associate it to communicating, which someone with a stutter at some point learned how to have a stutter. They're not born with it most of the time. Sometimes it's neurological, but very rarely. Usually they get it like age 3 or 4, something happens, something traumatic, and then they start stuttering. And when they're really confident or comfortable, they might give 3, 4, 5 sentences before they stutter and then get in their head and then suddenly they stutter again. So what I found is that if you can take that feeling of comfort and associate it to the area that you want them to have it on, for example, I'm just a comfortable person, like in identity, suddenly their confidence will skyrocket forever. And a lot of people struggle with understanding the dynamics of confidence because they themselves are not. So a lot of hypnotists are frauds in the sense that they act confident, but they're not. They're arrogant or they're narcissistic. They're not genuinely comfortable in their own skin. And I think that holds them back.
So something I hear a lot of hypnotists say is like to be hypnotized into something, the person has to desire it deep down anyway. They have to want to do that.
It's bullshit.
So you just think as long as they have those emotions, you can just tie it to anything.
Nothing you want was put into your head by your own conscious will. Like everything you think you want has been programmed into you through propaganda, through your culture, through how you grew up, through experiences. Only when you have enough awareness to understand that everything you think you are is none of you, then you can make a change.
Say that again.
So for example, I am me. Like I'm Marczell. This is what I like. I love sushi. I love all these things. Only when I'm able to understand that all of that is social conditioning and I didn't make any of these, like I didn't make these decisions. This just happened and then I was conditioned to be this way. The second I can realize that, I can now make updates. A lot of people just stay the same their whole life, which is why their problems continue to show up in their life. They have the same patterns. They go through the same breakup, the same feelings, the same emotions. They have highs and lows and they're constantly in the same circle because they're not breaking a pattern. Now, you might find people on extreme sides of the pendulum where they have extreme success in one area, but they fail in another. They're really, really successful here, but they're unhappy. It's because they still haven't updated the software. So they're chasing something when the thing they should be chasing is the knowledge on how to actually make a change internally. Nothing external is going to make someone feel amazing. Like, oh, you made the money, you got the car, you think you're cool, people like you. But it doesn't actually give you the feeling you're looking for. The feeling you're looking for is in the knowledge on how to reprogram your mind. And I think if we all started learning that, wow, I think everyone's life would change like that.
So if someone has a behavior that they don't particularly like about themselves, like say you're a murderer, or like say you're a hypochondriac and you're fearful of disease, or say you're a gambler, like what's the first step in reprogramming your mind to get rid of those things?
You have to change how you feel about things. So for example, you either have a positive association to something or a negative one. A positive association takes you towards it. A negative one pulls you away from it. So let's say you are a murderer, right? Let's take Jeffrey Dahmer, for example.
Yeah.
he's able to kill these gentlemen. He'll take them, sleep with them, kill them, and get off on that. And he knows it's wrong. He consciously knows it's wrong, yet he's doing it. Yet he's keeping their body parts. Yet he's eating their body parts, right? It's super graphic, vulgar, disgusting. But if you want to understand how he sees it, look at someone who's vegetarian versus someone who's not. Someone vegetarian, when they eat a piece of meat, is not looking at meat. They're looking at body parts. You wouldn't want to eat a human being, right? You wouldn't look at, like if you go into a place where a butcher is cutting steak for you, you just view it as food. You're perceiving it as food. They're perceiving it as a body part. Jeffrey Dahmer is not perceiving these people as human beings. He's perceiving it as an object. So there's the dehumanization aspect of their perception. And that happens because of the lack of connection that he had early on. So he went through a lot of trauma early on, and that trauma makes him disconnected emotionally to protect him, right? Because he was emotionally, he didn't feel good. He wasn't accepted. He was always weird. And the only way he can gain any kind of feeling is through some kind of feeling of control. And if you're able to take a life, right, that feeling of control, so his brain puts a lens on, right? What's the best way to look at the world to make me feel what I've been looking to feel? In his case, the best way to look at the world was, let me dehumanize all these men, learn how to be charismatic or charming enough to get them. And the reason you see like a psychopath look so confident is because they don't feel what we feel. They feel that the brain is different. They don't operate on the same level. They're all narcissists. Every psychopath is a narcissist, every single one. Every sociopath is a narcissist. Not all narcissists are psychopaths or sociopaths, but the best way to look at it is if you're a gambler or anything, the same reason I look at gambling, I'm not interested in gambling. It's because I have a different lens than someone who, let's say, doesn't. Let's say entrepreneurship. Yep. You want to make more money. Someone who is an entrepreneur values freedom. They value a higher level or a higher standard of living. Like, I want to fly first class. I want to be able to buy whatever car I want to buy. I want to have unlimited fucking money. Most of the time, you look at someone who has a job and they're like, oh, I can never be an entrepreneur. That's scary. Like, how am I going to pay my bills next month? It's a different lens. So if you change what you focus on, you change how you feel. You change how you feel, you take different actions. So if you're someone watching this and you want to change something in your life, you should ask the right questions to someone who has the behavior you're looking to emulate. So if someone has, let's say, cannot get addicted to gambling no matter what, you might ask them, like, what is it about gambling, that you don't like? And in their mind, it's like, well, I see myself losing. Like, I know I'm always going to lose. I'm not going to make any money. So do I want to just throw my money away? Like, do I just enjoy throwing my money away? No. So when they actually look at it that way, it's like, who wants to just go get rid of their money for no reason? No one does. So then suddenly they won't want to gamble. Whereas the gambler is chasing the feeling of, what if I win? Maybe the next one is going to be the win. So once they can realize that they're only going to lose, they change their focus, they'll never gamble again.
Do you think you could fix Jeffrey Dahmer?
I don't know.
Have you worked with anyone that has like any really insane?
I actually have worked with someone who is a psycho and had feelings of wanting to kill people and didn't do it. And they came to me because they wanted to fix it. And we did fix it. And he just loves cooking now, right? So he gets satiated off like literally cutting his food. I changed the association for him. But when I did that, I do remember him telling me that. And I'm like, look, this guy hasn't killed anyone. He understands something's wrong. He has the intention to change. And the reason he even became that way is because he witnessed someone die early on when he was really, really young. And not die, get killed. Like he witnessed someone get killed in front of him when he was really young. And his brain then suddenly kind of became someone who craved that trauma. So the way trauma works oftentimes is the way to deal with it is to either lean into it or completely avoid it. So someone who, unfortunately gets sexually abused might completely lean into the sexual trauma and become very promiscuous to gain control over the sexuality, or completely avoid it altogether. In his case, instead of living in fear, he's like, let me gain power, and then it became a desire, right? And the desire even became sexual in a way. It was like a thrill for him.
I've noticed talking about serial killers that almost all murderers have links to like sexual desire tied in with it, which is very interesting.
There are two instincts we have: survival, reproduction. And I think a lot of people don't understand that everything they do is tied into mating and survival. So if you look at someone killing, there's got to be some kind of reproductive benefit to doing so. Otherwise, we wouldn't continuously have psychopaths reproducing. Like there's constant, that gene still exists for a reason, right? So they must do well enough to have 1% of society is psychopaths. So not all of them are murderers, but at least 1% of the population has to do well enough to where they can continuously reproduce. I remember I was out my friend was doing a boot camp, which is like a dating seminar where you take guys out and you teach them how to approach women. And one of the guests was a psychopath. And his name was Johnny Walker. I didn't know Johnny Walker was an alcohol brand. I just knew it wasn't his real name. And every night he would just show up with a different, really pretty girl just to show off that he's better than everyone else. And it was just such a weirdo. This guy's a psychopath, you know?
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, why is it that women are so attracted to psychopaths? Every single girl he brought was just, oh my God, they're in love with him. And I think it has to do with the fact that they're able to pretend. They're able to act. They put on a lens. They're able to act so effectively, like whatever it is that someone wants. So they'll emulate someone, and they're just way more charming, way more charismatic than the average guy, and they have this narcissistic level of confidence.
Yeah.
So, you know, in my mind, I think it's possible that they're misreading or misjudging a psychopath because he's just able to tell them what they want to hear. And, you know, he's just...
It's also a survival mechanism, you know? Like
Yeah.
if women are looking to be protected, who's going to protect you more than like the person who has the genes of a killer?
Yeah,
you know?
or is willing to kill. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could look at it. The best way to look at it, in my opinion, is what are they biologically wired for? And if a woman values that and thinks that that's what the alpha or most dominant man she can have is, she's going to be attracted to that guy, you know? And most of the time, it's so rare to have a guy come up to you that's actually confident that oftentimes a really confident, amazing guy might walk up to a girl and her brain says, no, it's not true. He's going to hurt me, blah, 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 ruins it. So I think, same with men. Men do the same thing. I just think that if you change your lens to a lens that's congruent with whatever it is you want, you'll get what you want. If you're not getting what you want, it's because you're looking at it the wrong way. And if you look at if you want to know what lens you have on the world, look at what you have. If you don't have a lot of money, you have the wrong lens towards money. Obviously, something you're doing, the way you're looking at it is obviously not working. Change it, you know? And I think a lot of people don't want to listen to that. They don't want to change it. So then they get stuck.
Marczell, I want to ask you a bit about your background. We'll talk more about specific instances where Marczell has hypnotized people to do very interesting things, but let's go into his origin story. So you went to William Howard Taft High School. You're planning to become like a doctor. And did you go to college for a bit and drop out?
Yeah, I was in college for 2 years.
Gotcha.
I did a year while I was still a senior in high school. And then I did my second year after that. But at the same time, I was also going to college for hypnotherapy.
Got you.
And
What was the event that led you to switch from being a doctor to hypnosis?
I just didn't want... Time is super valuable to me and a constant theme in my life, right? My dad has had 10 heart surgeries. I lost 3 dogs in 3 months, 2 in the same day. They got ran over. You know, I had a girlfriend that I was super in love with. We only had 3 months together, and then she moved back to Brazil. So we were counting the time before she would leave, and I knew I'd never see her again. So there's a lot of like themes in my life of, hey, you only have something for so much time, and then it's gone. So I value time always. And I just looked at it and I said, do I really want to sit in class for 8 years and then another 8 years in residency? You know, to be a plastic surgeon, you need to have 3 years of general surgery, 3 years of plastic surgery, right? So 6 years right there. So it's 14 years total. I'm like, do I really want to do 14 years of school? And I just said, no, I don't want to do it. And my sister, I have a twin sister, she went the lawyer route. So she's an attorney now. But I just said, I want to make money now. I want to change lives now. I want to do something right now. And I kind of was passionate about helping guys not get hurt because I got hurt a lot by girls early on. You know, when you're younger and you're a bit naive, a lot of guys are taught that, you know, if you give girls flowers and chocolates and compliment them, they'll really like you. And then they go date, you know, the asshole who like spits on them and hits them and, you know, beats them up. And I'm like, why? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So I started studying that and I realized, oh, these are the triggers they're attracted to. The biggest one is confidence. So I started working on myself and my confidence, and I got addicted to the feeling of personal development. Like, to me, that was like, holy shit, how do I always improve? And then just...
Was Tony Robbins the first person you started consuming the content of?
I didn't even know who Tony Robbins was until I did my first seminar and someone walked up to me and said, you know, you remind me of Tony Robbins. And I said, really? And then I looked him up, saw his documentary, and I was like, oh yeah, this guy is fucking awesome. You know, and then I didn't really know that he was doing NLP or he was also a hypnotist. I didn't know any of that.
I didn't know that either. Tony Robbins is a hypnotist?
Yeah, he doesn't call it. Like, he'll hypnotize you at his event. If you've ever been to a seminar of his, he'll go, this is a closed eye process, but he's really hypnotizing the room.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because he just knows hypnosis is so taboo, you can't call it that.
Yeah. So you have a twin sister becoming a lawyer.
Yeah.
Is she still in school?
No, she's an attorney now. She actually just finished and graduated the bar, or like passed the bar in November.
Yeah, my sister went kind of that route. She's a neuroscientist, but she's still in school. She's your age.
Yeah.
I'm like, geez, like, if you're going to go down that route of making a high income through a traditional job, it's going to take you a long time. I don't know.
It's just not valuing time over money and not having the confidence. You know, it's like if you've been programmed your whole life to go to school's the only route, then fine. But I think you should be educated. But education is constantly changing. Things are moving way faster now. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 2007 is when the iPhone came out, right?
Yep.
That changed the game. Smartphones completely changed education. Then you look at AI now just coming out. That again is changing everything. So there's an exponential growth curve, in my opinion, on how fast things move. And you either move at the speed at which things change or you're going to get left behind. And a lot of these industries are going to unfortunately be washed up. By the time a lot of these kids finish school, it's going to be washed up. How often do you hear someone go to college and they go, yeah, you know, I don't know what I'm going to major in.
Yeah.
What are you doing then? Right? Like I always say, look, what do you want? You want to make more money? Yes. Do you want to have awesome, you know, cars and a cool lifestyle? Cool. Actually sit down and do the math. Like, is the career you're getting going to give you that right now? And then, you know, they look at someone like you who's doing really well and they might be like, oh, it's fake. It's really not fake. Every time I see you're working, you're constantly grinding, you're consistent, you know, you put in the time, you obviously spend the money to invest in yourself. It's crystal clear when someone makes money and wins versus when someone doesn't. I could see the trajectory of anyone. You know, if you're smoking weed, you're doing drugs, you're chilling, you're partying all the time, you're not going to win. You know, everything you do is really, you're just focused on the goal, which is why I think you're going to do really, really well. You're already doing well, but I think you're going to go very, very far.
I appreciate that. I don't want to talk too much about college being a scam because my other guests have covered it sufficiently, but I will say this, like anyone listening to this, if you think about how much energy you have, the ages 18 to 26, you have significantly more energy than like 27 to 40. Like if you're going to grind on something and make it work, it'll be so much easier to get it done now, like doing social media or doing an online business than as opposed to trying to do it when you're 30 and have gone through school, you know? Like, I mean, do you feel like you had more energy when you were in your like early 20s as opposed to now?
You know, I still have a lot of energy. Like I'm really, really focused and I take care of my health a lot. I'm in the gym every day, you know, once, twice a day.
I mean, you're kind of at the age, I think 25 is like the peak of.
Yeah, 25, 26. But I do feel, for example, if I were to eat junk at 21, 22, I wouldn't have inflammation in my body. Like I had no inflammation. I was, you know, crazy athlete. Now I play basketball. I'm in a league. I play all the time. I have to take care of my body a lot more to have the same exact level of, you know, my stamina is super high. I'm in great shape. But your body does wear down, you know, and I'm consistently grinding, consistently working hard. You know, back then I'd work my ass off and then I'd be around 10 people who are sick. I wouldn't get sick. Now, if I'm around people who are sick, I have to really be careful, make sure I don't get sick. So, you know, I'm super health conscious. I did a seminar last year, 2023 in January.
Yeah.
3-day event, had 104 fever the entire event. I'm probably higher than that at one point. Felt like I was going to pass out, thought I was going to die, but I just...
You said 104 fever?
104. I should have been in the hospital instead of on stage.
Flu game.
Yeah. And, you know, I had a sore throat. Imagine doing a seminar for 12 hours a day, 3 days in a row with a sore throat. Plus you have a fever. Plus you're in a suit. Plus your whole body hurts. And you just got to perform and keep energy. You know, so when that happened, I said, I'm never going to get sick again before a seminar. Never, ever, ever, no matter what. And the reason that happened is because right before the seminar, I got super stressed out. I had a lawsuit delivered to me. And then my dad had to have heart surgery, which is like a super risky surgery. Turns out he didn't even need it, right? And he didn't get it. But all this happened 4 days before the seminar when there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
All the stress peaked. I never get stressed. I got sick. And then it was just very, very difficult to push through. And seeing that, you know, a lot of people take for granted their health. And when I see them, you know, if there's any advice to take from this podcast, forget hypnosis, forget everything else. Stop drinking, stop doing drugs, stop smoking. You know, people take for granted their health because they don't realize how valuable their health is. I've worked with people who, I had a client, had stage 4 terminal brain cancer. He's dead now, rest in peace. And this kid, instead of going to school, and I know another one who's still alive and he's in remission, he's amazing, but this one didn't make it. And every time I'd see him, he would look at me and he'd say, I don't want to die. I wish I had more time. I wish I had more, you know, I want to be normal. I want to go to school. Couldn't do it. And at the end of it, you know, he just understood that he was given a bad hand, had less time, but he made the most out of there wasn't a minute wasted. When I saw him, it changed my lens on reality. I'm like, wow, I really, really need to value my health because something like that could just change. This guy was healthy, took care of himself, everything is just unlucky, super unlucky. And I look at that and I see other people going and they drink and they smoke and they throw their health away. And I'm just like, I wish you got to meet had the privilege of meeting this kid. It would have changed a lot of their perspective. They're just like, oh, I'm going to be fine. I'm young. Go look at an 18-year-old who starts partying. Look at them at 21. They look like they aged a decade. I look exactly the same as I did at 16. Yeah, I literally, if I show you pictures of me at 16, I look exactly the same. I've not changed.
So you don't drink, smoke?
Never. Never drink, never do drugs, nothing. As you know, and I appreciate it, I only drink out of glass water. Right? I won't even drink out of plastic. I have a personal chef. He only gives me organic food. Like for lunch, I had chicken breast.
Yeah.
And watermelon.
Dude, I've been doing organic food lately. Actual game changer. I was like allergic to fruit, or I thought I was. I tried organic fruit, perfectly fine. Yeah. It's like the shit that America can put in your food is insane.
It's very, very different. I went to the Maldives. So I had a client in 2020. And I took him on a retreat to the Maldives. It's the most expensive resort in the entire place. It's called Virginity. $50K a night at the time was the price of the villa. And we're there for 10 days, so it was a $500,000 vacation, plus the food, whatever. It ended up being like almost $700,000. Regardless, we're there, and they grow all their food on the island. And at first, you're eating it, and you're like, oh, this doesn't taste sweet. Like, I don't like it. And then your palate changes day 2 or 3. I felt like I was eating 6,000 to 7,000 calories a day, and I was getting leaner every day. Anyways, I felt so good, so energized the whole time. I leave, I get to the airport. We're in Qatar, which is still a very, very nice airport. Very good food. One of the nicest airports in the whole world. Yeah. And we eat at a steakhouse there. And I eat the steak. I thought I was going to throw up. I felt nauseous the entire time. I was like, holy shit. It took me like 10 days to realize, because I had my chef at the time. I'm like, yeah, I just got to go organic. It goes organic, and again, I feel amazing. I'm like, wow. So it's crazy how shit most food is. And when you go organic, your body feels way better. You have way more energy and focus. And I could tell you, I push the limits on my mind. I could tell you, I've tried every diet. I could tell you exactly how far you could push the limit to your mind and how much focus and how far, like a marathon really. I mean, think about a seminar. It's a marathon of mental focus. You have to be able to communicate for hours and hours, engage an audience, read the room, be able to make money, simultaneously change lives, change the direction of the room, be able to pivot, improvise, whatever you need to do. And I could tell you when my diet's off, how even sleep, 2 hours, 1 hour less of sleep will affect me dramatically. I'll go on stage, I'll put in 150% effort on 6 hours sleep. I'll put in 10% effort on 8-9 hours sleep. And I'll do better at the 10% effort than I would at the 150% effort on low sleep.
I think everyone is sick in America, or most people, and they don't even realize it. I'll go back home to Kentucky and go to like a local restaurant, get some fried chicken, and like it'll make me physically ill to eat it. But like growing up, I could eat it just fine. And it was because I was sick and I was used to it. My brain was operating at a different level. My body was operating at a different level. But
yeah, they're used to the inflammation in their body. They're used to being sick. I just think, look, if you value your life and you want to do better, you want to feel better, you want to look better, just change your food. Like, I saw a client came to my house, one-on-one client, very rich. He's like, I have a slow metabolism. I'm like, bro, you weigh 400 pounds. Your metabolism is faster than my metabolism.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? And I see his diet. His diet is just literally fried chicken, oil, cheesecake, milkshakes. I'm like, yeah, but I got a small milkshake. I'm like, what? Are you fucking stupid? Yeah. Like, it's just, they're not educated on what is healthy. Yeah. If you just educate yourself a little bit, don't eat this, don't eat that, change to this, do that. Oh, I can't afford organic. Okay, can you afford chemo? Like, can you afford diabetes? I don't know. What do you want? Pick your poison. I don't know. Make more money. Yeah. It just, people always make excuses for why they can't. Why don't you make excuses for why you can?
And you have to ask yourself as well, like, why are you doing something? Like, if you go out and get fried chicken, ask yourself before eating it, why am I doing this? If you're going to smoke a cigarette, if you're going to drink alcohol, it's like, why do I want to do this? Because if you question the why, then you start to like maybe like, oh, because I want to get away from my problems, because I want to feel less anxious. It's like, are you still going to enjoy that beer as much if you know the deep reason why?
I feel like if you really think about what you want and you believe you can get it, you will change everything you do. The problem is most people don't believe they can have what they want, so they settle for a life that's much worse. And what comes with that is the habits that are obviously a lot worse for them as well. And if you're not going towards your goals, you're going away from them. Yeah. If you're not getting healthier, you're getting unhealthy. If you're not getting leaner and more fit, you're getting slowly, you're going to deteriorate your health and get sicker, right?
Something you say is people settle for what they think they can get, not what they actually want.
Yeah, they don't go for what they want. They literally go for what they believe they can have. And if you knew you could have anything you wanted, but you had to believe in it, what would you be willing to do? And it happens a lot faster than you think it does, especially once you believe in yourself. You know, I always give this example. If I give you a losing lottery ticket, would you go cash it in? No. But if you knew for a fact it was the winning lottery ticket, you would do anything to cash it in. You'd fly anywhere in the world. You would do whatever it took. Well, I truly believe everyone has a winning lottery ticket. The question is, are you willing to cash in the lottery ticket so you can actually live the life of your dreams? And if you believe in yourself enough, that means that you believe in the lottery ticket. And if you don't believe in yourself, you'll never cash in the lottery ticket. It's your birthright to have a winning lottery ticket. It's everyone's birthright. Now, you might be in a place that's a bit more difficult. You might be in India. You might be in a third world country. It's a bit harder to make it happen. There's a few extra steps. But I truly believe if someone wants something bad enough, they can make it happen. Today, you live in the world where we have the internet. You can educate yourself. You can change the way you see the world. And just because your surroundings don't match the life you want does not mean you cannot change. You can. You might have to work a little bit harder than someone else, but you could still get there. It just people waste so much time thinking about why they can't. You know, how often do you see someone dream about their goals, and yet you meet them 5 years later, 3 years later, and nothing changes? They're actually worse off than they were when you met them.
Yeah.
To me, a dreamer isn't really dreaming. They're just telling you what would sound cool. Like they want the life, but they're not willing to put in the work, which to me means they didn't really want it. You don't have what you think you want. You have what you actually do. So what you really want is what you take action toward. You want to get in shape, but you eat cheesecake. Well, that tells me is what you actually want, what you're programmed to get is to be fat. If you want to be rich and you're constantly broke, what that tells me is that you're programmed to be broke. Now, granted, you're in a startup, you're working your ass off, you have sleepless nights, like you're bound to eventually make it happen. I can see that eventually working out. But, you know, usually when you see someone fail and you look into why they failed, it's crystal clear. It's like, okay, you went out, you partied, you misspent the money, you didn't budget correctly, you weren't resourceful enough, you didn't find a solution fast enough, you were anxious and stressed all the time. You know, I could see when someone's going to fail versus when someone's going to win. And if you just look at the patterns that they live in, what feelings do they feel most of the time? I could tell you where their income is going to be. And someone who is able to be comfortable in high stress environments, problem solve, they're comfortable around money, they're comfortable spending money. You go to dinner with them, they cover the bill, they don't care.
Yeah.
That to me shows abundance, shows that they're confident they're going to make more money, and therefore they will. And anyone who's watching this, you know, if you have the opportunity to push yourself into a place where you feel uncomfortable, do it. But don't do it with people who are not valuable. If you're with a bunch of friends who are bums, and then suddenly you go spend dinner, you know, and you pay for their dinner, you could do that if it makes you feel better and makes you want to make more money. But in my mind, I'd rather be in an environment where I have the least amount of money, where I'm constantly feeling like, oh, wow, everyone around me is just, you know, crushing it. Yeah. Now, what I found at 26 versus when I was 22 is at 22 is a lot easier to find people who are doing better than you. At 26, the pool of people is getting
lonely at the top, especially on the well-roundedness.
Yeah, exactly. It's also getting smaller to find, you know, I mean, my friend that I came here with, I have a shit ton of cars. Every time we drive, he's like, how does it feel to have the nicest car on the road every time you drive? And I'm like, it feels normal. But when you think about it, it wasn't like that. Like I used to ride with my friends and they'd always have a nicer car. I'm like, oh, that's a really sick Lambo. Look at that SVJ. Look at this car. And then, you know, now I drive with them and I probably do have the nicest cars. And I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I get it. But they were way ahead of me. They just didn't push it, right? They're not pushing it the way I am. So I feel like if you push yourself and you value time, there's no limit to where you can go. I see you pushing yourself. And I think the older generation, if anyone is watching this, there's a hungrier and faster generation than what we have before. And they're going to, I think, take everyone out of business. Like I think your generation, my generation, even upcoming generation, just way hungrier, programmed to want way more success. You know, education is easy. Attention span is shorter, which means patience is thin. So you're just going to keep taking action. And, you know, you look at all that and I just think we're in a completely different age. So success is going to become much easier for those who take action. Yeah. But I think it's going to become a lot skinnier too. There's going to be a lot less people at the top, especially with AI. You know, because most people live in the middle class, like jobs, or small businesses like brick and mortar. they're going to get all of them are going to go out of business, all of them. And there's only going to be those at the top that dominate, and then the rest are going to be out of business. You know, like you might ask in my space, the coaching space, most coaches, I would say 95% of coaches make 5% of the revenue, and then 5% make 95% of the revenue. And I honestly believe that it's almost like that in every industry. There's companies like Amazon and Tesla and massive companies that make the majority of the revenue. And then you have smaller companies that make, they're all fighting for a little bit. So if you feel like there's a lot of competition, it's because you're part of the 95%. You're not operating at the top 1%, top 5%. If you operate at the top, there's no competition. There's unlimited money. There's unlimited everything. Because the people who can afford it, people who want it, everyone's buying Tesla. Not everyone makes money like Tesla, right? Everyone's buying or using Amazon every day. So if you can be that company or that business owner that is making things faster and easier, right? Like if you look at Tesla, it's the most luxurious for the price point. You get the most performance, the best car for the price. You look at Amazon, saves you time. Like for the first time ever, you could just go on your phone and in an hour, in 3 hours, the next day, you're going to have whatever it is you ordered on a website, unrelated, show up to your door. You don't have to leave your house. The convenience there is insane. Uber makes a shit ton of money just off Postmates, right? Like Uber Eats, Postmates, same thing. So if you can come with an idea that makes everyone's life easier, like Airbnb makes it easy to get tenants. Yeah. It makes it easy to be a landlord. These massive companies have solved the problem. They've become the pinnacle of luxury for it. So, hey, look, I'm going to be the most luxurious version of this and make it easy. For me, the luxury of working with me is you don't have to go to the mall and talk to 10,000 people to get confidence. I'll just snap my fingers and you'll have it. You don't have to go to therapy for 7 years. I'll give it to you. I'll program your brain to go get it. And I think that's why I'm able to be at the top 1% or 5% of my industry.
Marczell, let me ask you. So you talk, you have a story about working at Quiznos, or not at Quiznos.
CBK.
You worked at California Pizza Kitchen, and you had to like clean up the bathroom. There's a disgusting
there's
mess,
shit on the wall.
and you were like, not going to do that. How do you mitigate against complacency? Because someone at your level, you've reached a revenue that not a lot of people would make it to because they would be like, that's enough money, And I think a big issue with like a lot of the middle class is they don't want anymore because one, they don't think they can get any more, but they don't know how good life can get. And I look at your Instagram, you spend like an exorbitant amount of money on just random things. Is that kind of what keeps you going, or what do you think? Why do you not become complacent?
Yeah. So first of all, my overhead alone is close to $500,000 a month, right? So that alone, every day I don't do anything, $15,000 will leave my account no matter what. That's the first thing. The second thing is money motivates me for a different reason than most people. The cars, I love cars. I love buying things. I love shopping. I care less about clothes, and I don't even have room in my closet for clothes. I used to care about that because I didn't have any. Now I have more than enough. Yeah. So I used to go to the mall every day and buy clothes. Cars, I'm running out of room for my car. So I'm like running out of things for that. Yeah. I'm not into private jets the way most people are. Like, oh, I want the jet. I don't give a fuck. Like, I really don't care about the jet. I don't mind going business class sitting next to regular people. Like, I think that's more comfortable than a fucking jet. Anyways. But, when you look at money, the motivating factor is how can you use it to make an impact? And I think that although it looks like I'm playing at a really big level, to me, it's like, how can I make as much as possible? Because then I can make the biggest impact. For me, you get complacent. Like, how many cars can you get? Where can you live? What kind of house can you have? What else can you buy before you're like, okay, I've had enough? You will be satiated. But I like to give this example is like, if you go to a buffet, all you can eat, you might have 3, 4, 5 plates. Fine. 5 plates, you have 5 plates, cool. But if you have to feed your family and you go to this buffet and you have to take food home for them, how many more plates are you going to fill, and how are you going to find a way to bring that home to your family? Same thing with money. I think if you find a reason to take care of other people that's greater than you, a purpose, a mission, for me, it's like to get as big as I need to be to make the impact I want to make, I have to make way more money. I'm not even close to where I'm at. So I want to make a massive impact.
Why do you have to make more money to achieve that goal?
1, marketing. 2, it costs money to play at that level. It really does. Like I know that I could just go the viral route, and that's the easiest way to do it. I never really cared about being famous, and I actually have a hard time with it. Even now, I go to the gym, I go out. It doesn't look like people might look at my following and be like, okay, yeah, he's decent, but he's not huge.
Yeah.
But everywhere I go, I get recognized. It doesn't matter where I'm going because the people who follow me, they follow me.
There's depth.
Yeah, there's depth. They binge watch my stuff. They're like, oh, this guy really helped me. So it's a different kind of following. But it's not that I have a problem with it. It's just I really feel like I'm a normal guy. I'm a normal guy who just doesn't give up. That's it. And if you look at this point, I think it's habit that drives it and also all the momentum of the past several years. I mean, I've been doing this professionally. My first client ever officially was like when I was 17, but like really I would say 18, right? So since I'm 18, I'm 26, 8 years I've been doing this, grinding. The first few years were really, really hard. I didn't even know where my next lead was going to come from. Yeah. Next sale was going to come from, So when I look at the past, it's also like I would be doing a disservice to give up. A lot of the coaches in the space, they do really well and they stop. But that's because they didn't, the purpose for me, like my goal is to have 50, 60,000 people in an auditorium and just do seminars and change their life. Like that to me is the mission.
Why?
I love it. I love seeing people change their, like.
Are you big on legacy? Is it
no, I don't care about legacy. Like when I'm dead, I'm dead. Like it is what it is. I just really, nothing fulfills me more than being able to walk into a room, take someone who doesn't know how capable they really are, and then just give them the tools and the knowledge and the confidence that whatever they set their mind to, they could do. And a lot of people do this because they want the recognition. I've been confident as I am now since I'm 15. Yeah. I don't give a fuck about the recognition. If I cared about recognition, a lot of it people watching this might say, oh, he's showing off a lot. I really am not. Like it seems like I'm not being humble. I hate that word anyways. I think being humble is actually a bad thing, but I really am being humble in the sense that I can really talk about what I spend, how much I spend, what I buy. If I really want to show off, I could do it. And you put me side by side with other coaches in the industry. It's like, look, if I'm faking it, how do I keep doing this? How do I keep buying this? How do I keep spending money like this? Like my lifestyle alone is ridiculous. It's not sustainable if I'm not actually doing these numbers. So, besides all that, the purpose for me, like forget the money, forget that. If that's what gives me credibility to some people, cool. What really should give me credibility, whether I have money or not, is my skill set. I have a skill set that very few people have. I actually don't think anyone has it at the level I do, where I can walk into a room, doesn't matter if there's 5 people or 50,000 people, and everyone there will change their life. Like I am so confident that I'm able to take a thread and just take someone, whatever their destiny is, just tie the thread for their destiny and where they're at and just tie the knot for them so they could connect it. I just truly believe I could do that. And I want to be able to do it to as many people as possible. I almost want to change the way people view psychology. Like if you look at the iPhone in 2007, it's so outdated, it wouldn't even function today. It probably doesn't even work today. It's not even 20 years old. It doesn't even work. And if you look at psychology, we're still using psychology that's about 100 years old. Like Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, it's outdated. It's not effective. If you look at their case studies, Carl Jung was a lot more successful than Sigmund Freud, but we still study them as if this is, hey guys, this is what works. But it's not true.
You think psychology is outdated?
I not only think it's outdated, I think they're reversing psychology and it's going in the opposite direction. We are at a peak of mental health crisis. And if you really want to know why I think this is happening, it's because there is an agenda, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but there's an agenda. If you look at communism as a whole, Marxism, the intention behind it is ultimately to stop us from killing ourselves. So they believed at the top that ultimately we're going to blow ourselves up. We're going to go extinct, which is possible. And I'm not saying it's not possible. It is very possible. So in order to prevent that from happening, we should have total and complete control of everyone. And the way to do that is to normalize mental health crisis, normalize depression, normalize the victim mentality, normalize all these things which have currently been normalized, normalize taking medication, normalize all of that, 1, for profitability, and 2, to keep control over the population. And it's the complete opposite of where I really want to take people, which is I want to give them the independence and the emotional stability and the control and put them into a higher place where ultimately they will make better decisions. They won't be violent. They won't feel the need to do that because there's too much to lose. There's too much to... Imagine getting in a fight, someone pulls out a knife and stabs you. Like, if you have so much to live for, that's not worth it to you. And a lot of people don't have meaning or purpose and they don't see what's possible. So to them, they're willing to do that because they just don't see what else life's about. And I think that if I'm able to change that narrative in someone's head and I'm able to show them, look, you don't have to be depressed or anxious or sad or unhappy or helpless. I can empower you, give you the tools so you never have to go anywhere else, give you the tools yourself. Here's how you make the change permanently. And here's how you elevate yourself permanently. Now go do whatever you want. Whatever your heart desires, go do it and feel good about it. That's my purpose. So to me, if I can make as much money as possible, I feel like I would be able, I've linked making money to being able to make a bigger impact. So to me, that's why I don't feel like I'm ever going to stop.
It seems altruistic in a way to want to empower men and individuals to be as capable as possible to make their own way, make their own impact in the world. But if you put yourself in the shoes of like someone like a global elite, like someone at the very top, would you want everyone to be empowered to do as much as possible? Or would you want to have control over them? Like, so you can kind of manipulate society in the way that is most effective.
I think there's a lot of societies and there's a lot of leaders, and there are very different views that a lot of them have.
Yeah.
I think that what a really good leader would do is be able to unify the majority of societies that have aligning values. For example, you have Western societies, right? Like America right now is supposedly, I mean, I still think it is, but it's at the forefront of culture and what everyone else thinks. But then you have, you know, a different kind of society, right? You look at like the Middle East, you look at Hamas, you look at Iran, you look at all these extremists, right? The leaders of these countries.
Yeah.
And their values are very different. It's savagery, it's terrorism, it's literally murder. How do you differentiate empowering someone like that? Well, they're not empowered. They're blind. They cannot think beyond whatever it is their purpose is. A lot of their purpose is to kill, right? To spread violence, spread all that. So I think you still need to have strength. You still need to have a society that can overpower that, right? And if you look at Western civilization, you look at the U.S., I think it's drastically important that the U.S. stays at the forefront and at the top of the world because it is a symbol of freedom. And I think that if you're able to maintain that freedom and that culture and people understand that, hey, we still are free here and you maintain those rights, then you're not going to fall into any of those other belief systems or, you know, cultures. And if we lose that, then it's really up in the air. You never know where it can go. It can go that direction because they're radical enough to, if they infiltrate the U.S. and they come in here, it's very likely and very possible that the U.S. will become that. You know, so it's important to not allow not just physical people, but negative ideologies and negative values to enter the culture. So in some ways, you do need to have control. But the question is, what direction do you want to take it? Do you want to take it in the same direction as our founding fathers, or do you want to shift gears? You know, a lot of people want to shift gears. If you look at some people in the government right now, they want to shift in the other direction.
Yeah.
So,
do you think we're being hypnotized?
24/7. The government spends more money on propaganda, on media, on being able to control information than anything else in the world. And anyone who argues with this is ridiculous. If you pick up your phone, you just want to scroll down on Instagram, it's because the algorithm knows exactly what you want to see, got you addicted, and knows exactly what to fuel your brain with. And why? Because you go into hypnosis. Second you go into that, you're in a trance and you just end up doing it for 30 minutes, 50 minutes. Look at your screen time right now on your phone. Tell me what your screen time is. If it's over 2 hours, think about that. You're spending more than 2 hours a day looking at a screen. You know, it's crazy. So
what does it mean to be hypnotized to you? Like, do you think you're necessarily out of your control if you're in trance?
I think you don't realize it. We're always in a trance, right? So when you're driving, you're in a trance. When you're walking, you're in a trance. When you're talking, you're in a trance. Everything's a trance. The question is the trance you're in helping you move towards whatever it is you want in life? Or are you just kind of walking around like a regular piece of meat? Like, oh, I'm just going to go to my job, come home, sleep, eat, fuck, repeat, go to the bathroom, job. Yeah, like, am I just doing something meaningless, or is there some elevation? I think human beings have the ability to be elevated. But most of us are literally asleep. Like, we're actually sleepwalking. We're just doing whatever we're supposed to be doing, sheep. And yeah, I think the majority of people are hypnotized. And even those at the top are hypnotized. Question is, how do you hypnotize yourself so other people don't influence the direction you go in? And you're always going to be influenced. In some way, shape, or form, you're going to be influenced. But are you influenced by things you want to be influenced by? Like, nothing negative is going to influence me. No drugs, alcohol, right? None of that is going to draw me towards it. But hey, a really nice car, beautiful yacht, you know, like luxury, amazing food, awesome beaches. Like, these are things that are always going to draw me. And I'm hypnotized to want those things, but I think those things do allow me to elevate myself and feel better.
Marczell, we talk about you being able to break your own complacency, but to the average person, like, how can you break your complacency?
If you think bigger and you believe in yourself, you will. You need a reason.
What are some like practical steps they could do? Like I've heard like Steve Harvey talk about get first class and then you'll never want to walk to the back row or something like that.
I don't think that's big enough. I think a bigger reason is more so, hey, how do I have a life where, I remember I used to go to Cheesecake Factory with my friends and I'd be embarrassed because I couldn't order food. So I'd tell them I'm not hungry, watch everyone else eat. I'm drooling over the food, wanting just to spend, $30 on fucking food. Can't even afford it. And I just said, I don't want to feel this way. I definitely don't want anyone around me to ever feel this way again. So, if you look at your life and you say, hey, I'm not happy with the fact that I have to say no to buying something I want. I can't buy that pair of shoes. I can't drive that car.
But the thing is, a lot of people I know are happy with their lives.
They're lying to themselves. They're not happy.
But they don't know how good it can get, perhaps.
It's possible, but that's because they don't have a desire to leave their comfort zone. Some people live in comfort. Like to them, what's comfortable is uncomfortable. I view it this way, black or white. Either I'm going to sit in the fucking apartment where rats are crawling around and cockroaches, and I'm going to say there's no fucking way I'm going to actually live here and I'm going to go do something about it, or I'm going to live in the best thing I could possibly live in. Most people kind of go in the middle where there's no reason to leave. I'll live in a comfortable apartment where I feel okay, but there's no reason to push the limit. And if you really want to push the limit, put a fire under your ass. Throw your hat over the fence. Go spend money you wouldn't normally spend. And if you realize the weight of not being able to make your payments, like, hey, what happens if my credit gets fucked? What happens if I don't make my payment? Like, to me, to lose my lifestyle, my luxury is like catastrophic. I'm like, there's no way. I won't clean my room. I won't make my bed. I won't do the laundry. I won't cook my own food. I won't even shop. These are all things I make other people do for me. I pay them very nicely, but I make them do it because to me, time is so valuable. Every day should be spent exactly how I want it to be. Yep. If you value time, like the number one step is value your time. If you could value your time and you have the desire to change, awesome. But I think another thing which might change what you asked me is also understanding some people just don't want it. Some people say they want it, but they don't. I call it peasant palate. If you've ever taken someone out to like a really nice steakhouse, I remember I had a girl I really liked and I flew her out here with her whole family. And it's the first time they'd been in this country. They were from Israel. And I took them to a steakhouse. And none of them ate the food. It was one of the nicest steakhouses in LA. Every steak's like $120. They're looking at it like, oh, it's disgusting. But they'd eat like Western bagel every day. I'm like, so you guys are cool with bagels, but you're not going to eat steak. In my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, it's just not their palate. Like, they just don't understand what really good food should be versus what it's not. And I think the same thing with some of your friends, like you're saying. If they just don't understand, they don't have a taste for it, then why would they ever work for it? You're never going to work for something you don't want. And some people literally just do not want it.
Marcell, you have a pet monkey. You had 2 dogs that passed away, unfortunately. Picasso, Mona Lisa. 3 dogs.
Da Vinci passed away 2 months before
Da Vinci.
That. Yeah.
You big art guys?
Well, my mom would just name them that.
Yeah, nice. Can you hypnotize animals?
I mean, I've seen videos. I've never done it. Like,
you haven't tried to hypnotize your monkey?
I fucked with him. Like, I'll be like, sleep, but I've never, like, you can relax him. I just don't really know how to, I just don't think, I use the language to hypnotize people, and I don't think it resonates with them the same way. They'll follow your commands. Like, you tell a dog to sit.
Can you hypnotize a deaf person?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So someone who's deaf can be hypnotized, but with their eyes open.
How do you do that?
Well, for example, if you were to think, about a white sandy beach with turquoise water, blue skies, warm, humid air. Did you visualize it? Yeah. You were in trance. Their eyes open or eyes closed, doesn't matter. You still went there. So that's trance. Leaving where you're at right now to go where wherever you're listening to. It's part of conversation. So that's why hypnosis is so effective, is because we already do it naturally in conversation.
So you were hypnotized when you were 13 to get over your fear of playing football.
Yeah, it was my first time being hypnotized.
Is your mom like kind of like a naturalist into like spirituality and stuff, or is it
not
your dad?
Not really. So it's a family friend of ours that is a PhD psychologist and a hypnotherapist, and then I just needed a last resort. So my first time ever playing football, I think it was 14 when I got hypnotized, but I was a freshman in high school, and then our first season we had our coach and he passed away, so they dedicated the next season to him. And I wanted to be part of that, but I had literal PTSD from playing football. Like I would get so sick. The whole team would get anxiety, because if you've never played, normally you have a team of a minimum of like 35, 40 people. Yeah. We had a team of 12. So you play every play 4 quarters, and everyone would get injured every game. Like someone would be bleeding, break a rib, like fucking leg twisted backwards. It was just fucked up. We started a team with 16, and then by the end we had 11. So it was really brutal. It was not fun. No one had fun playing. It was just very, very brutal. And I'm like, how do I go play, dedicate the season to the coach? And I end up getting hypnotized. I remember sitting in the chair. She's like, look at the time. I'm like, okay, whatever. I opened my eyes. I felt really relaxed. I thought I fell asleep throughout the whole thing. She said, look at the time. And it was 45 minutes. I'm like, what the? 45 minutes? How the fuck did this happen? She's like, think about football. And I remembered that I used to be scared of it, but I could not find the feeling. Like there was no connection to the feeling, no connection to the anxiety. Our first game was 3 days after that for the season. I go to the game. Normally in the locker room before the game, when you're putting on your pads, I'm getting anxious, throwing up. My teammates are throwing up. They're anxious. They're turning pale. I feel totally calm. We're on the field. Normally I'm feeling like shit. Totally calm. I play a first half, my best half ever.
Yeah.
No anxiety, nothing, feeling totally fine, no injuries. And then at halftime, you're always like, fuck, I got another half of this. Totally fine. And that's when I realized, like, wow, I guess hypnosis really does work.
So you had anxiety about the time, perhaps?
Well, I had anxiety around playing, like just getting injured. It's very physical. You have to have like a dog inside of you. It's like you're going to war. Like football is not, it's fun if you like violent sports. I'm not violent, so I don't like it. I've done MMA for 14 years. I still don't like violence. Like I'm not a violent guy. I do like athletics. I love track, love volleyball. Basketball is my favorite sport by far. I'm really, really good. So like for me, playing that was just more of, hey, let me help the coach out. But it's just not worth the brain damage. It's not worth the injury. It's not worth the risk. To me, I would never play. I mean, to get in shape and grow a pair of balls, like that's the best sport ever. But it's the hardest sport physically, the hardest sport on your body, hardest sport to get in shape. You lose weight like that. But again, I think hypnosis in that moment changed my entire perspective because I was like, oh, wow. My confidence also went way higher after that.
Was this like an aunt, a cousin? Or?
Yeah, like an aunt. Like it was like close family friend, almost like an aunt.
Huh.
And she was,
Does she do like, what's her kind of gig?
So she's a PhD psychotherapist and she uses hypnotherapy as well.
Got you. So she works with like clients and she'll, And have you like seen her multiple times?
Yeah, I was seeing her for a couple of years. So she was like almost like mentoring me. I would say not then, but as I started this career, she was mentoring me a lot.
Learning hypnosis, you went to the one school, I don't have the name of it.
Yeah, HMI.
HMI, yeah. Do you think you learned better from that program or just learning from
I think
her one-on-one?
I think if you want to like have an entry-level thing and you want to learn hypnosis and kind of have like a career, they have like a really good setup. I would say if you really want to be at like a super advanced level, you're not going to learn how to hypnotize someone rapidly there. You're not going to learn how to knock people out. You're not going to learn how to have language patterns. It's different. It's very basic. It allows you to learn there. It teaches you a lot about psychology, therapy. If you're having like a midlife crisis, it's like the perfect audience to go there.
Yeah.
If you really want to be exceptional or use this at a very high level, yeah, there's no way you're going to get that from there. The level of education wasn't high enough for me. I was constantly hungry. I mean, I'd go to class, I'd ask the professor or the teacher, questions. People would bring counters to class and count how many questions I would ask. Because at the end of the day, like that's fine, but I'm the best in the world now.
Everyone always makes fun of the kid who asks too many questions in class.
I just wanted to get
turns
better.
out to be the most successful person.
Yeah, I wanted to learn. I was like, this isn't fast enough. Like I need to learn this faster. So I started watching YouTube videos. Coming to find out, the videos
Is hypnosis
I watched,
a knowledge thing or a reps thing? Like
knowledge.
actually doing it? Really?
Yeah, knowledge.
Huh.
Yeah, you could learn. From me, you could learn in 30 minutes.
Do you feel that way about most things?
I think if someone really knows what they're talking about, you could learn anything in under an hour.
Yeah.
For
This
the most
is
part.
this is a new finding to me. I used to be big on putting in reps and kind of learning through trial and error. But I mean, I can't remember if it's Darwin. Maybe says what is this? Organisms who learn through trial and error don't last as long as organisms who learn through simulation. But you find that with hypnosis as well. That's really surprising.
In everything, in my opinion, simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication, right? I'm not sure if you heard that. I think Leonardo da Vinci said it. They can't prove it, but his quote is, the ultimate form of sophistication is simplicity. But when you look at that, it's truly, how do you simplify everything? And if someone is making hypnosis sound really complicated or complex, and I could talk about the neuroscience behind it. I can make it sound totally like, wow, this is foreign. I don't care about looking smart. A lot of people talk about things and they want to look intelligent. They think it makes them look more credible. I really don't give a fuck. Like, I just want someone to be able to get the fucking result. Can you get the result or not? If you don't get the result, I don't give a fuck how smart you sound. You're a fucking idiot to me. So hypnosis is easy to learn. Persuasion is easy. Now to master, it's a completely different story. You got to have the confidence still. Like there's other pillars that you have to master to be fluent and be able to master it and kind of go very, very smoothly without anyone even knowing what's going on. But for that to happen, there are reps. But I think doing the reps with the foundation will get you there way faster than doing the reps on learning nonsense.
So do you still have like mentors that help you with hypnosis, or have you kind of superseded people?
I wish I could find a mentor that could teach me right now. I mean, I've looked everywhere. Now, the few people that could teach me, I learned from, but not for hypnosis. Like they taught me more body language, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like actually body language.
You have to find specialized people who aren't.
Yeah, they're like they interview people their whole life. This is what they do. Or profiling people. Like, hey, I could look based on what you're wearing. This is who you are. This is how you think. This is what's up. So like I have had a lot of friends that they're not really mentors, but they're my friends and they teach me a lot and I trade off knowledge. Like, here's how you make more money. Then they'll teach me, okay, this is what you do here. So I do crave the education. But in terms of hypnosis, I can ask my friends. We'll have things we agree on, things we disagree on. But ultimately, if you look at other hypnotherapists, they might be like, yeah, maybe they might say I'm not the best, but none of them could say I'm not good. Like no one could say he's not fucking amazing at what he does. Like I am the best, but only someone who's really, really good can identify that skill set. I've had very high level people reach out to me, people in this field, who work for the government, consult the government, things like that. And they became my friend because they wanted to know if what I'm doing is fake or it's real. It's like, it looks like it could be real, but they didn't know. So they befriended me to see if it was. And then now they're like, yeah, okay, it is. So they're impressed.
That's interesting. So you hypnotized Jake Paul to knock out Nate Robinson.
Yeah. So that's a symptom of what I hypnotized him for. What I really hypnotized him for was to think way bigger. So Jake Paul I saw a podcast between Jake Paul and Logan Paul, and I was working with Logan Paul at the time. And he was depressed, saying he hates what he's doing. He hates YouTube. And I texted Logan. I said, hey, I really think I'm confident I can help your brother. So Jake texted me, gave him my number, texted me, and I started working with him. And the main thing we worked on was, hey, you're no longer a YouTuber. You're all in on boxing. I'm like, you're going to be the biggest boxer in the world. You're going to be the greatest boxer in the world. And you're going to be number one. You're going to be the best. And he started doing that. And if you look at him now, he's on the way, and he's way closer now than he was in 2020. And if you look at how far he's come and how fast he's come, it's pretty ridiculous. So, he is, people who don't know, he's super nice, super caring, takes care of everyone around him, very, very generous. There's a persona he has, but he's a great guy. Like I love Jake.
Do you regularly work with him?
No, I haven't worked with him in a couple of years, to be honest. Maybe even 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. But I have friends who still talk to him every day, see him every day.
So was it before his fight? Like how before his fight was it?
I was talking to him the day of his fight. Yeah, but and I was talking to him like.
What'd you say to him, or what was the process there?
So I would hypnotize him. Like for example, there's a video of me hypnotizing him actually on Thanksgiving. That video on YouTube is on Thanksgiving in 2020. But I was working with him leading up to the fight. I'd see him once or twice a week. We do calls almost every day. We were texting every day. I was giving him like overall advice, relationship advice on his girlfriend at the time. Helping him. Like I was overall coaching him towards his goals, not just the boxing. But the thing we advertised or like recorded was a session about the fight.
And I guess what did you say to him before the fight specifically? Like, what do you think resonated the most?
I think the first, just thinking bigger. Like, truly being able to not say, hey, I'm going to be a big YouTube boxer and fight YouTubers like KSI, but like, I'm going to be a real professional fucking boxer. I'll be one of the best in the world. I think that would be the biggest thing that resonated with him. Like, showing him, hey, think way bigger. And, I'm not, you can't take credit. Like, I can't take credit for anything my clients do because I really can't. But I can tell you that the conversation we had in his bedroom was, hey, you should think way bigger. I think that you should go for being the best. If I'm going to program your brain for something, let's program it for what you fucking want. And that's what we did.
Tell me about Sam and Colby. I watched this video of yours. It was honestly pretty funny to go through, but you made Sam and Colby cry with hypnosis.
Yeah. First of all, they're really nice. I'm still friends with them. And so I was working at CPK with Kat, which is Sam's girlfriend. And then I went down the hypnosis route and they're like, hey, we want a hypnotist. And in 2018, I started a trend on YouTube of all these big people getting hypnotized.
Yeah.
So the first one that we did was with them, and it's been super viral. I mean, that video has gone like millions and millions of views multiple times every time it's posted. But the idea was, hey, just hypnotize us and see where it goes. And there's a clip on my YouTube channel. I posted twice. Both have like 3 or 4 million views. Same exact video, reposted twice, viral both times, where I hypnotized Colby to arm wrestle. I'm not sure if it was, actually, no, Sam to arm wrestle, I think Jake or Colby. I don't know who he was arm wrestling. I don't remember. And I said when he loses, he's going to cry. And then he loses, and you see him immediately start crying. And then as soon as I snap my fingers and I say, now it's the best day of your life, instantaneously changes his state. It's so fast that, like, even if you're an actor, you can't change your state that fast. It's impossible. It was genuine emotion and an instantaneous shift. And what I like to display in that, and I think this is what's so cool about it, which a lot of people might miss because they think it's entertaining. Yeah. I think the cool thing is to realize how quick the subconscious mind is versus the conscious mind. Versus like, let me go from sad to happy. It might take a few seconds, even at the fastest, versus like an instantaneous, like instantly changing from depressed to really, really happy. So I was really like, I mean, if you go on my YouTube channel, you can see that on my shorts.
You gave them a speech at the end. And I've seen a clip where it was kind of related to their current success because they've really blown up since you had that talk with them. What did you say to them in that speech, roughly?
You know, I don't really remember, but I do remember them saying they want to wake up earlier, they want to feel more confident, they want to be more successful on YouTube. And they really have blown up. You know, they were on Joe Rogan's podcast. I remember they did really well. I mean, the thing I told them is the main thing I tell everyone. And it's that, you know, I help them think bigger and I give them the confidence to back it up. Those are the two main things to me that are the formula to success. If you see what you want and you believe you can get it, you'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. And that's really what I think, if anything changed for them, it might be that. I can't credit that what I've done is, I think they would have been big anyways. They're already big when I went to see them. But I do think that the experience I had with them, there is a chance that it might have made some kind of change. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I can't.
Did they reach back out to you? Did Sam and Colby reach out to you? Did Jake reach out to you and say thank you?
I see them a lot. Yeah. I mean, they thought it was a cool experience. More for them, it's more of like it was a cool experience than oh hey, you know, you changed my life. Jake Paul though, you know, every time he has a fight, he does text me and he's like, hey, I want to say thanks again. He'll message me. Yeah, he'll message me like something really nice. Like, you were the one who believed in me at the beginning. You were here from the start. I really appreciate you. You know.
Interesting. How did you get connected with Logan?
So I was driving down Ventura Boulevard. I was with my friend Jordan, and he was like, oh, you know, Logan Paul just moved to my neighborhood, Encino. And I'm like, oh, cool. He's like, you want to see his house? I'm like, no, why would I want to go see his house? And he's like, holy fuck, that's Logan Paul's car on the side of the road. And I'm like, I guess that's a sign, you know? Yeah. So I pulled up in front of his car, waited for him to come out of the restaurant, came out, and I'm like, hey, Logan. He thought I was a fan. And then I just started saying, oh, yeah, I'm friends with this guy, this guy, this guy. And then Mike's like, so what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a hypnotist. He's like, hypnotize me. And I just go sleep, and he knocks out my arms. It like just falls in my hands. And then he's like, oh, grab my number. And then his friend Andy, who was his best friend at the time, wanted me to come to his house and do a vlog with him. And then I got Logan's number. We connected, talked to him a few times, and then I hypnotized him a few times as well. But it was never like, you know, anything beyond that. And then I saw the video with Jake, the podcast, and that's when I was like, oh shit, let me reach out.
Mike doesn't seem like the type of person that'd be hypnotized easily. It's funny.
He's probably one of the best subjects ever.
Why?
He's just open-minded. He's done a lot of personal development. He's done a lot of the work. And you'll find that someone who's the most confident, the most flamboyant, the most charismatic, they're usually the easiest to hypnotize.
Is Logan an easy subject?
Logan could be easy, but he likes to have control, so he's a bit more difficult. Jake is a great subject.
Yeah. I can see that. So I think we talked about the liberal to like Donald Trump. Is that the gay friend who also went to straight?
Yeah, no, that's different.
That's a different one.
Yeah, I mean, I've done this many times.
You've hypnotized multiple liberals to like Donald Trump.
Yeah, I have a video on YouTube where I'm in Venice and I take a guy from A to Z. You see me hypnotizing him. You might even be like, oh, he's not being hypnotized, but that's because they're not looking at it from my lens. The guy even has his eyes open. They're like, there's no way. I not only hypnotize him to like Trump, I hypnotize him to change his name. At the end, I'm like, what's your name? And he still says the wrong name because you have his ID and you see that's not his name. So he was still tranced out, which is pretty funny. But I was so early on in my career, 2018, I was way less experienced. And even in that video, you could see how much better I am than probably almost any hypnotist that's out there right now.
Do you hypnotize yourself?
Every day.
How so?
So hypnosis is being able to leave where you're at right now. Like, how many windows are in your room?
6.
How do you know?
Go there.
You just went there, right? You went into trance. So you're always in a trance. The question is, are you in the trance you want to be in? So I'm so in tune with that, I call it an emotional compass. If you feel really good, it means you're going towards what you want. If you feel bad, even a little bit, it means you're going away from what you want. So in my mind, the second I feel any shift, like I don't feel good, I will immediately go into a trance, think about what I want, figure out why I'm not feeling good, change it, fix it, get rid of it, whatever it is, and then continue to feel good. So I like to feel amazing every second of every day. The second I don't feel good, I will literally go hypnotize myself, get back into it. Sometimes it takes 10 seconds. Sometimes it takes me 10 minutes. But that to me is what keeps me consistent. Like a lot of people are inconsistent because they don't feel consistent emotions. I'm always feeling good. I'm always hungry for more. I'm always motivated no matter what. Like any opportunities, let's go take it.
I haven't heard you talk about this, but maybe just a bit of my psychoanalysis. Like I'd say everyone leans in the direction of like either anxiety or depression or like ADHD as their thing. And I might be wrong, but I would probably categorize you as struggling with depression as one point, or have you ever struggled with that?
No, I never had depression. I've always been really, really happy. I feel really good. I would say that maybe when I was younger, like 13, I had less confidence. I had I had some social anxiety, especially when it came to approaching people. Oh my God, I'd feel like that was my biggest fear. Just to
Do you think anxiety is real?
I think look, everything is real. It's real to you. The difference is I would imagine going up to a girl and then I would just see the worst case scenario and I would just feel the anxiety. I've conditioned myself so much so that whatever is uncomfortable, I have to go towards. Like I am attracted to what makes me uncomfortable. Being too comfortable makes me feel bad. Like I will be depressed actually if I am too comfortable. Oh, look, I'm not doing anything. I start to get depressed.
Interesting.
But I always do something. So to me, I'm always making progress, always in the gym, always working on something, always thinking of a new idea,
So what's your biggest tip to mitigate depression, I suppose?
I think genuinely changing your pattern of focus. Someone depressed is usually someone pretty selfish. They're thinking about themselves, what's missing for them, what they don't have in their life. If you want to feel happier, you got to think about other people. If the second you make your life not about you, obviously have boundaries. Like if I care about someone else and they treat me like shit, get the fuck out of my life, Get the fuck out. But if my life's only about me, you're bound to be depressed. There's no meaning. There's no connection. They did a study and they took these rats and they put them into a cage and one like they had two waters. One water was infused with heroin or cocaine and the other one was infused with regular water. And the rats 95% of the time would get addicted to the cocaine/heroin infused water, drink it, overdose, die. Some sociologists came by, they looked at the experiment, they said, no, something's wrong here. This isn't actually how human beings are. We socialize with people, we like to have colorful things. So they took these rats, they put them into a much nicer cage. It's called the Rat Park. It's the name of the experiment, Rat Park experiment. And they gave them both water, the heroin, the cocaine water, and then they gave them the regular water. And 90 to 95% of the rats, especially the ones that were social, preferred the regular water over the cocaine water. Now, what they found chemically is that oxytocin, the chemical for connection, is a dopamine inhibitor, which means dopamine is the chemical for motivation, but also for addiction. When you have a lot of connection, it inhibits dopamine. So it prevents a lot of motivation or dopamine addiction to come through. For me, if you're able to create a habit while maintaining connection, you don't need dopamine. Like I'm not chasing dopamine. When you chase dopamine and you don't have it, you get depressed. You have a withdrawal of this feeling of like this high. When you have a lot of connection, it's almost impossible to feel depressed. When you have love, that's the one thing I'll tell you. Anyone who's with others and is accepted by their group, is socially accepted, has a lot of friends, feels really good with them, will not be depressed. If you're struggling with depression, it's because you're making your life about you and not about the people around you. Go make more friends. You struggle with friends because you're not confident, go out, go get rejected. Your life's not going to get worse, only going to get better, right? So if you're already feeling depressed, go do what it takes to make the friends you should make. You might have bad friends at the beginning, make better judgment. Like if someone's not making you feel good when you go meet them, they're not lifting you up, they're not good friends.
Yeah.
If you bring them down, you're also not a good friend. So, someone might carry you for a little bit, but you got to improve as well.
Yeah. That's really interesting. This is kind of off topic, but how can you hypnotize someone to steal their phone?
It's actually a lot easier than you think. One would be a pattern interrupt. So you'd walk up to someone and be like, hey, you'd have to have some kind of like hook that's a pattern interrupt. A really easy one might be, hey, I forgot my contacts at home. Can you tell me what time it is? And then you look at the watch, close your eyes, induction, hey, give me your phone, your wallet, your keys. You forgot it happened, walk away. I got your phone. Get your password as well in that, sequence. Or it might be like, hey, I'm so sorry, I forgot my contacts at home. I need time I shoot. Can you hold this for me? Hold this. I'll be like, Belly, do you have a phone? Yeah, can I see that for a sec? Here, and I'll take the phone. Can I have the water back? Cool. Anyways, I'll see you later. And then just confuse you, take your phone, leave.
It's so quick, even that just now.
Yeah.
Like a little in trance. Do you think that's some of the pattern that you're speaking?
Well, one, I speak really fast. Two, I've done this so often. To me, it's an unconscious pattern. So to you, it's new. You're not going to pick up on it. And then also, if you speak quickly enough, right? My unconscious mind is battling your conscious mind. No one's conscious mind is faster than anyone's unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is so fast, it could process up to 50 million bits of information every second. Consciously, if you're a genius, maybe 200.
Yeah.
So it's about 1 million times more powerful. If you can create an unconscious pattern where you just be quick, there's nothing you could do to stop yourself from getting confused or, whatever. But if I come up to you and I'm like, give me your fucking phone, that's not that hard to, like, your conscious mind can easily catch that information and be like, what the fuck? But if I'm subtle and I'm candid and I kind of like make it seem, like fun, charismatic, your mind's gonna be like, all right, like a smile, hey, disarm, I forgot my contacts at home. Like, oh, I'm helpless. Oh, let me help this guy. Now you want to pay attention. I got all your focus, Hey, do you mind holding this for a second so I can tie my shoe, pattern interrupt? By the way, do you have a phone? Cool. 1 sec. Here, hold this. Thanks. I'll take that. All right, I'll take that too. Thanks. By the way, do you have any rings? Wow, those are so nice. Let me see that. Look at this ring. Give it back. Here, you can have it. Hold the ring. Hold your ring. Just leave. Like, you won't even know what's going on. You might be like, oh yeah, hey, by the way, I think you just took all my stuff. I have no idea how that happened. Oh, my bad. You mean this stuff? Yeah, here, no worries. Here, hold this. Hold this for me 1 second. Give you my phone, my wallet. 1 second, I'll take that back. I'll take those back from you and leave.
Wow.
I mean, that's an easy way of doing it. But
I don't know how that transfers over the camera, but for those listeners out there, that's really powerful in person. I just feel like I'm about to be robbed. It's something really interesting you taught me. I haven't tried it yet. Maybe I'd have to practice it a bit. But when you were 18, you could get into any nightclub you wanted in Vegas.
Yep, anywhere.
How do you get into any nightclub in Vegas when you're 18?
So if you take your ID and you give it to a bouncer, the bouncer has looked at IDs probably hundreds or thousands of times just this week. So there's a program running in the background. They're on autopilot. Their conscious mind is taking a hike. They're just not even there. They just kind of look for the same thing. They look, is it fake? Is this real? What is this, right? And then what do they say? Like, there's a word they say when they know it's good. They say, you're good, go ahead. It's fine, go ahead. You're fine, go ahead. You're good, right? So I'll just listen to see what words they're saying. And then I'll start talking to my friend and they'll be listening. I'll pull out my ID and I'll hand it to them, but I'll pause for a second, make it a bit slower. And I'll say something like, oh, it's so funny. My friends told me to come here and I wasn't sure if I should. And they're like, nah, you're good. As you're handing them the ID, as they're reading the ID, you're saying, yeah, you're good, you're fine. Yeah, go ahead, you're fine, no problem.
You're saying that.
I'm saying that. Now, I could say it while they're looking at your ID. I could say it while they're looking at my ID. Doesn't really matter. But now in their mind, they're going, yeah, you're good, you're fine. And they'll repeat it and they'll be like, go ahead. And they'll give you back your ID. It's kind of like if you ever send a text to someone and someone's talking in your ear, suddenly you write down what they say.
Yeah.
They hijack the pattern. It's the same exact thing. You're hijacking that self-talk that they have that then gives them permission to be like, oh yeah, in their brain, checked off the fact that you're good to go.
You're putting them back in that pattern of whatever they associate with as letting someone in.
Yeah, exactly. But the way to do it is by hijacking the pattern they launched. So they launch a pattern to check an ID. You hand it to them maybe a bit slower or pause or kind of pull away and be like, oh, my bad, and give it to them. So it confuses them. And as they're in this state of confusion, it kind of disrupts this pattern. And they still launch the pattern. So they still said, hey, I'm going to look at this person's ID. They're not going to resist their own idea, their own behavior. So their brain's like, oh, there's no need to resist. I'm checking their ID. Then I'll start saying this as I've confused them. Those suggestions, you're good, you're fine, go ahead, right? Go into their mind. They'll look at it. They'll be like, yeah, you're fine. And then move in.
What's your success rate with that?
100%.
Really?
I've never not had it work. Ever, not once.
Huh.
Ever.
And you can do it like for a friend?
I could do it it doesn't matter. Yeah. Anyone.
Huh.
You just have to be confident, say it loud enough so they can hear it, and you'll be good.
What's your go-to pickup line?
Hey, what's your name? And then I'll be typing into my phone and be like, okay, cool, what's your number? Highest success rate, simplest to the point. They'll be like, wow, holy shit, that guy's so confident. And then once I get the number and they're invested, then I'll start flirting with them and talk to them.
I heard you say one on a podcast with Zerka that was pretty... out there, but I could see it working. What was that pickup line?
Yeah, so one of the best pickup lines to use, period, is you go up to a girl and you go, one of the best pickup lines to use, period, is to go up to a girl and say, have we fucked before? And they'll immediately, their emotions will spike. They'll be like, what the fuck? And you'll be like, I'm just kidding. Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Marczell. Not only will they be more attracted to you, but you just planted a seed in their head from the get-go. Like, am I sleeping with this guy? You have them imagine it. And on top of that, once a girl sleeps with you, how does she feel? Closer to you. So if she automatically feels closer to you because you've already slept with her, you already have a connection, automatically she likes you. And you might review this later and be like, oh, well, I find that offensive. They're not going to be thinking about that. No one's ever said it to them. So to them, it's like brand new and their brain's like, holy shit, I must have slept with him. They launch a pattern for how they feel with someone when they slept with someone. Even though you say, I'm just kidding, it still went into their mind. They still feel closer to you and they're still bonded to you.
Do they ever like question if they have before?
Well, the second you ask that, they're going to go searching. The second you ask, they're literally going to go looking to see if they did. Even if they didn't, you're still eliciting the feeling of having done it because they've now imagined it. Even if it's a small seed, you planted it in their head.
Do you think that is something that would just work in America, or like?
I think it'll work anywhere.
Really,
it's just
like
psychology.
Eastern Europe, like we're more conservative.
Like, hey, have we met? It's a different variation of that. Hey, have we met before? Well, you look so familiar. I'm just kidding. Hi, nice to meet you. Okay, now you just say something a bit more extreme, a bit more personal, a bit more intimate, a bit more shocking. There's something about it that is attractive. It's confidence inducing. It's new. It's a pattern interrupt. It's like, who the fuck has the balls to say that? And then you say, I'm just kidding. And they'll start laughing because it's like, do I feel this spike of negative emotions or do I feel this spike of positive emotions? And the second you see them spike in negative emotions, you go, I'm just kidding. Hi, nice to meet you. Their brain will cling on to the positive emotion, but to feel the positive emotion, they have to feel it at a greater intensity than a negative one. So if they felt like a 7 out of 10 offended, well, now when you say, I'm just kidding, nice to meet you, and you're smiling, you're charismatic, that's going to be at least at an 8 out of 10, and they're going to really like you and connect with you right away. Oh, you're so funny. You're awesome.
Do you have any more out there ones like that you use?
Wait, are you my... No. And never mind. Just something totally confusing. Like just, wait, are you... Or, sometimes I'll look at a girl, I'll smile, I'll be like, holy... Oh, shit. Sorry. Never mind. Oh, no. And they're like, what? Oh, yeah, no. I was going to get your number, but you're not what I thought you were. Like, what is that supposed to mean? You just don't look nice. What do you mean? Are you nice? Yeah, I'm nice. Oh, okay. Then what's your number? Just fuck with them. Kind
of like negging a bit.
Yeah, you could neg. I mean, there's a million things to do. Like, give me an example. Tell me where they're at, and I'll tell you what I would say. I just, whatever's on the spot. Like,
yeah. I guess just bar Los Angeles.
So they're at a bar. Are they drinking? Are they at the bar? Where are they?
They're just got a drink with their friend. Yeah.
So they're with one friend, two friends?
One friend, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just go up to them. I'll be like, hey, what are your names? Now, you guys don't know this yet, but we're actually on The Bachelor. My name is Marczell. I have a rose. It's not here. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Let's see who wins. You guys ready? Perfect. And then I won't even wait for them to answer. I'll just say perfect. And I'll be like, I'll ask you one. Hey, are you fun? Okay, 0 to 10, how fun are you? And they're going to answer. They'll be like, I'm a 10. Okay, I'll ask the other one. I'm like, how spontaneous are you? 0 to 10. Okay.
Oh, wow. Is this Baxter mystery stuff?
No, I've never studied anyone else.
Really?
Never studied anyone else's game.
Do you know of those two?
I know who they are. I've just never studied them.
Just those watching Mystery is one of the more famous pickup artists that kind of teaches this to guys. And I actually went out in Finland and Sweden with this guy named Baxter. He's like Mystery's wingman. And he uses that exact line. On a scale of 1 to 10, how spontaneous are you? Or I'll ask girls
I mean, you could change the line. Doesn't matter. You could say, I'm just qualifying them. So like 0 to 10, how fun are you? Okay, are you easygoing? Do you love? And then I may be like, okay. I'll be like, well, I think I have a winner, but before I decide, let me, make a decision, like lean in.
You're switching the frame to where you're the prize.
Yeah, exactly. And just qualify them. So, and then the second they start answering your questions when you're qualifying them, it means that they're now in your frame and they're even jumping hoops. So now they're invested in the frame. They're not going to leave the frame. You can lean in, you can go to kiss them, tease them, don't kiss them, go to kiss the other one, don't kiss them. Yeah. Just fuck with them. And then if you want, you can take both of them home. You could go home with one of them. You could just friend zone them. You could leave them, go do it to 2 other girls, take all 4 of them with you after. Like, there's a million ways to do this.
How can hypnosis be used for evil?
I think if someone really wanted to, and they do, there are people who do want it, and I have a theory, and obviously if anyone's an expert on this, it would be me.
Yeah.
When you look at all these school shootings, oftentimes these kids, they say shit like, please make this voice in my head stop. Or they'll draw something like, please help me, and then erase it. And it's a picture of them shooting up the class. And on the bottom, it'll say, please help me. I can't stop. And then erase it. Yeah. Or they'll message in a group and they'll be like, does anyone know why my handler, right? Like maybe their therapist or whoever is taking care of them, is trying to get me to hurt people. And this is in all of the recent mass shootings. These are all things that have happened. You take someone and their parents are like, he would never hurt a fly. I don't understand this. It would happen. I truly believe that someone is hypnotizing these poor kids to go kill other kids. And they do it knowing that they're pushing a political agenda. So to me, I have a pretty big problem with it. And you might say, well, is that possible with hypnosis? Yeah, they do it. Look at Sirhan Sirhan and Robert F. Kennedy. Sirhan Sirhan pulled the trigger to kill Robert F. Kennedy. Now, do I actually think that his gun hit him? No, I don't. But do I think that he took the blame? Yeah, he's in prison right now in San Diego. You can go say a couple phrases, pinch him on the shoulder, and he's going to immediately start pulling a trigger like this and, writing down, I'm going to kill Robert F. Kennedy. I'm going to kill Robert F. Kennedy. Like that today, programming from 50, 60 years ago is still relevant right now in his brain today. So,
let's go back for a second. You say you think that there are people picking children in school who are good subjects for hypnosis, perhaps.
Yep.
And reprogramming their unconscious mind to make them do school shootings.
Yes. Yeah, I think they're doing that. And I think every time you see a school shooting, you should ask yourself, who the fuck did that? Oh, he plays Call of Duty. I played Call of Duty. I'm not going to go fucking kill people. What the fuck? Right? Like, oh, this is a perfectly good kid. Goes to see a therapist or a counselor, and that's what happens. And somehow, almost all of them, almost every time, their parent or guardian gets killed first. They probably weren't even the ones who killed their parent or guardian. Probably some fucking CIA shot their fucking parent or guardian in the head and then went and did this.
There's a lot of cases like that where they kill the mom or kill the dad.
Yeah, and it's always a single parent or a grandparent holding them. Yeah, it's fucked up.
And why would they do that? So there's no
pushes
evidence?
an agenda. Look, you want gun control, right? You want to take away some rights. How do you get people on board? Hit them where it hurts. Where does it hurt? Our kids. So these fucking monsters do it. And, maybe they believe that the ends justify the means. But, I can't see that. Like, you take a poor kid and then there's just shooting after shooting. It's like, it's fucked up.
What percent of school shootings do you think
Probably
are a
half.
result? Wow. Are there any shootings in particular that you have information on or you've looked into?
I don't have information. I've looked into a lot of them.
It'd be interesting to look at certain psychologists to see if they have any backgrounds in hypnotherapy that worked with specific children.
If they did, they probably aren't even psychologists. It's probably going by some fake alias, different name. They're probably, CIA operative or something.
Does the CIA use hypnosis?
The CIA spent over $250 million researching it. So
have you been contacted by these people?
No.
No.
I probably wouldn't want to work with them. Look, I like to stay away from all that. I'd rather just focus on helping people, empowering people, and stay away from all the other stuff. I just feel like once you get into that, you put yourself in a crosshair. Like eventually they're going to come after you. Eventually they're going to kill you. Eventually it's not going to be good for you. So I just try to avoid all that, focus on helping people. Yeah, I can go down the rabbit hole. I can teach people how to do it. I can educate people on it. But it's just not something I want to do ever. It's not something for me.
Being the world's best hypnotist, do you attract a lot of people who want to use hypnosis for evil?
Sometimes, 300 people will call me and be like, can you show me how to hypnotize someone to fuck me? And I'll say no. No, I'm not going to do that. But it's because they're just so out of their fucking mind. They're so not socially calibrated. They think that that's how you use it, And usually they want to just get better. They just want more confidence. They want to make more money. It's very rare someone comes to me and says, let me use hypnosis to go manipulate other people, Yeah, you might say, well, what's the line between manipulation and persuasion? I think intention. If your intention is to help someone, I think it's good. If your intention is to take advantage, I think it's manipulation.
I saw you credited on IMDb for the We Are Not Alone movie in 2022. What was that about?
So I have a friend, her name is Serena. She's a producer, and she was doing a documentary. It's out now about aliens, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And, you can hypnotize a lot of these people to remember getting abducted. And they wanted my perspective is hey, are these people really being abducted? Or is it like a false memory being created in hypnosis? And my perspective is that it's completely a false memory. It's a bunch of bullshit. And, they're just hypnotizing them to think they're abducted. So to me, that was my perspective inside of the movie. But to me, it's just, most of these hypnotists want to know. So they start leading it oh, okay. And did you see a ship? Just by asking you that, you're literally visualizing a ship, right? And you're in trance. Of course, you're going to be yeah, I see a ship. Okay. And what was it? Was it lights? What were they abducting you? Like they lead you through it, and you think it was your thought. It's not your thought. They just walked you through it. It's like a lot of therapists that do like regression. Like, where did he touch you? Yeah. Who said he touched you? Why the fuck are you putting that in their head? You know, it's like, it's crazy. So I can't stand a lot of hypnotherapists. They piss me off. They fuck people up on accident.
This is an interesting question I've been asking to a lot of my higher profile guests lately. What unconventional methods do you or powerful people use but are too unusual to teach your clients or regular people?
In regards to what, transformation?
This could just be, I don't know, like an example would be like someone taking psychedelics or ayahuasca, or like you doing like some interesting thing in hypnosis that is like a little too weird for mainstream public or a little too unusual. But
I think hypnosis in general is already too weird for the mainstream, but something that I do that I think is unconventional is I focus heavily on confidence, and I cannot stand drugs or alcohol. Like, I am the biggest advocate for do not do drugs, do not drink alcohol. Like, do not do that. That's unconventional compared to the culture. The culture says you should drink, you should party, you should have fun, and then go. No. If you're doing that, you are literally fucking your brain up. Like, you cannot go back. You did weed, you smoke weed, cool. Your brain's already fucked. You should stop where it's at and do your best to try and recover. You drank for years, your brain's fucked. It's not like you quit and then suddenly your brain goes back to normal. No, it is permanent damage. You will never have the same cognition. You'll never have the same intelligence. You'll never have the same IQ. You'll never have the same EQ. You'll never have the same integrity. Like, you do cocaine one time, automatically your morals and your ability and your inhibition to like do something wrong goes down significantly. Someone does cocaine one time, automatically becomes the bigger piece of shit. Wow. They just are more likely to fuck someone over. That's an example. Go do Molly. Go do ecstasy. Go do a psychedelic. Oh, psychedelics are good for you. You know what else is good for you? Doing it without psychedelics. Oh, well, psychedelics are a shortcut. It's like, so are steroids. Does that mean they're good for you? So why can't you do it naturally? Because you're fucking lazy or you don't know how to do it. But in my mind, I'm like, I fucking hate drugs. Anyone who tells me they do drugs, like, if my friends do drugs around me, if they even vape around me, I can't be around them. Like, they're not my friends. If they drink alcohol around me, I'm already like about to lose my shit. I just can't have that around me.
Interesting.
I had a friend who was a CEO of mine. He was living with me. I kicked him out and fired him because I caught him smoking a joint.
Wow.
I'm like, yo, you're not part of my company. You're not living with me. You're not here. It's just not acceptable.
Yeah. Do your parents smoke or drink?
My mom smokes cigarettes. My dad doesn't do anything. You know.
Has your mom requested that you like help her with that, or does
she doesn't want me to hypnotize her? No,
it?
She doesn't want to quit. Yeah, she's like, I'm not quitting. So I'm like, all right, it is what it is, you know? Like, could I theoretically do it? Probably, but, you know, I have my own, I feel like resistance towards like I just respect my mom. Like, she's above me. So in my mind, I'm like, I can't be above her and force her to do that.
Yeah, that
it's just weird.
Sense. So I guess more back on the unconventional methods, what is the most interesting or like theoretical part of hypnosis? Like something you've tried that not a lot of people know about?
I think the way I induce people and put people in a trance is far beyond what anyone else can do. My ability to, it's called an induction. I'm probably the best in the world, not just at hypnosis, but specifically at inductions. Like getting someone into trance and putting them into a really deep state fast, no one's better than me. And I could do it covertly. Like, what's unconventional is doing it without them knowing. If you watch a YouTube video, you'll see someone come up, they didn't expect it, and they just go into hypnosis. It's like, how the fuck did he do that? That's what looks so crazy to people. It's like, oh, he must be an actor. It's not an actor. It's just, I'm so fucking good at it. There's timing, there's understanding. It's like, I'll ask a question, I'll look to the side, I'll get a bit confused, I'll walk up to someone, look at your hand, sleep. Like, it's just so random. They're like, oh, I didn't expect that.
That's interesting. I'll have to see what that looks like in action. But Marczell, you've coached billionaires, athletes, celebrities. Who's the most impressive person you've met?
Most impressive person I've met. You know, there's a lot of really, really impressive people I've ever met. I think probably one of the most, and it's underrated because people don't see it. I think Jake Paul is for sure, one of the most impressive people I've ever met. Like, his work ethic, his mindset, his confidence, through the roof. Like, I have yet to see someone his age with his mindset. There's no one his age with his mindset. No one.
How old is Jake?
He's 27, 28 now. But, you know, think about him 23, 24 when I started working with him. Like, what the fuck? Like, who thinks like that? Who is as successful as he is at his age? is just unbelievable. Like I've met a lot of impressive people who are older, who are more impressive, but they're older. Not anyone that young.
Yeah. Tell me more about his mindset. What do you see in Jake that you wish you had in yourself more of?
I wouldn't say necessarily, I wouldn't say it's more of what I would want, because if I want it, I'll get it. I would just say what I think more people should look at when they look at him is don't just see his success, look at how empathetic he is. He's extremely empathetic, extremely caring. He really does care about people around him. He really does. He loves the people around him immensely. People don't see that. So they think he's an ass, but really, I mean, he started a charity for boxing, for bullies, right? Like, he really does care about people at a very high level, and I think that's why he is where he is. You can't get to that level if you don't care about people. It's just not possible.
What about his mindset as far as success? Like, what have you noticed?
He thinks big. He wants to be the biggest. Like, the desire to be the best at something will push someone to the greatest limit of their body and the greatest limit of their mind. Like, he is athletic. Is he the most athletic? No, he's not. He's not. Like, there are for sure other athletes that are more athletic, that are more jacked, that put on more muscle than he does. Is he athletic? Yeah, he's very athletic. But he's not more athletic. He actually has to work harder, in my opinion, than other athletes that would work less hard to get to the same level or the same physique. But his mindset's better than theirs.
Marczell, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
To simplify everything. That's the best advice. Just simplify everything that you learn. If you could simplify it, you can master it.
What's the Da Vinci quote?
The ultimate form of sophistication is simplicity.
What do you think people should be simplifying more?
Their goals and how to get them.
What's the worst piece of advice you've ever received?
It takes a long time. It doesn't. It really doesn't. I'm 26. Like, I should not be where I'm at 26 if it takes a long time. I shouldn't be where I was at 21 or 22 if it takes a long time. It's not true. It's just fucking bullshit.
As someone who loves shortcuts, what are some shortcuts you found?
Personal development is the ultimate shortcut. Why? Because when you think differently, you see the world differently. I always show people, for example, I show people 20 digits and I'm like, memorize this. They can't. I tell them to look at it differently, right? And it's a series of numbers. There's a pattern to look at, and suddenly everyone can memorize it in a millisecond. The same second I tell you how to look at it, you have it memorized. And initially you look at it, you're like, there's no way I'm going to memorize this. You try to memorize it, seems really hard. You're not sure you're going to be accurate. Then I tell you how to look at it and you have it memorized. I think when you work on your mindset, life is the same thing. Any area you want to work on, talking to women or dating men is really hard. Making a lot of money is hard. Getting in shape is hard. You look at it differently because you worked on your mindset, easy. So when you work on yourself, everything should be easy. Whatever you want should come to you easily. If it doesn't come to you easily, you haven't worked on yourself or your mindset enough to make it to where your life should actually be that. If you have to work really hard for something and it feels like you're working really hard for something, you're not going to get it. Like Kobe Bryant, as hard as he worked, he didn't feel like he worked hard. He loved every second of it. Michael Jordan loved every second of it. If you feel like you love it, it's easy, And a lot of people, think about how someone goes to a party. They party from 8 p.m. to the next night at 1 in the morning. How hard is that to stay up all fucking day and night, partying and drinking and dancing? That's harder than most entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And most people do this consistently. They go to concerts or raves. They do all that shit over and over and over again, but they can't go be an entrepreneur. It's because what's easy in their programming isn't aligned with what they want. I don't resonate with that. I don't think dancing my ass off with drugs in my head is what I want. If it's so fun, do it without drugs.
Yeah.
Who needs to do drugs when they're driving a supercar? You don't. Why? Because it's fun as fuck. Why do you need to do drugs when you go to a concert for 15 hours, 3 days in a row? Probably because it's not as fun as you think.
So guys 14 to 20, for instance, there are a few areas you can work on, like fitness, finance.
Confidence, number one.
Confidence.
Fuck finance, fuck fitness, work on your confidence. If you're a guy, go talk to every girl you see, build your fucking confidence. Do that, you'll become unstoppable.
Do you think confidence is a symptom?
I think confidence is the cause. I think everything else is a symptom. Your physique is a symptom. I think your income is a symptom. I think confidence is at the cause. Everything else is a symptom.
That's the complete reverse of what I've heard.
It's the complete because everyone who's told you that isn't actually confident. They act confident. They're not actually confident. And they have deep fucking insecurities. So they hide the insecurities with success or with their body or with their physique.
And you're speaking of internal confidence, or do you mean
I mean
external?
internal. Internal confidence creates, if you're confident internally, your world will change. The difference between Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Messi, Ronaldo, and the rest is that everyone works their ass off to gain the confidence. Their confidence is why they work their ass off. And that's why they're the best. That's why Jake Paul, you asked me what sets him apart. That's what sets him apart. He has the internal confidence.
How do you differentiate confidence with narcissism?
Narcissism is actually an insecurity. It's posturing. So for example, there's two ways you can go when you're insecure. You can either collapse, where you avoid everyone, I'm too insecure, I'm anxious, or you could posture and you could be like really tough. Hey, look at me. I have all this money. I have all this shit. Like, if I really wanted to, I could posture so fucking hard. No one on it, probably almost anyone on social media could even compete. Like, no one would be able to compete. I would fucking trump everyone who everyone's like, oh, they're so successful. I would trump them.
Yeah.
But I don't like posturing. It's not my thing. It's not me. To me, I don't gain, if anything, it's like, hey, come get robbed. Why the fuck do I want that? It's not what I want. What I want is to show people, this is how you change your life. This is how you change your mindset. Like, so narcissism, when you grow up and you don't get love from your parents or any of that, you create a disconnect between the real world and you. Because the real world is giving you feedback that you don't want. It's hurting you. And that feedback then now creates an internal loop where you give yourself that narcissistic supply, which is, hey, I feel really good. I'm doing really good. I'm great. Even if externally you're not. Suddenly people start to look at you and you look at others doing better than you. You're like, fuck. And that insecurity says, fuck, I need to do better than them. I need to be better than them. And you're constantly comparing yourself to others. And that's narcissism. Now, also, you're delusional. You're like saying shit that isn't necessarily related. You're always trying to put people down. That's narcissism. I have to be number one. Confidence is I'm comparing myself to me. How do I get better versus what I was yesterday, the day before, version of me from before that? And if you're constantly and consistently doing that, eventually you compare yourself to everyone else and it's not even, like when I say I'm the best in the world, when I say that, I'm thinking I'm the best version of me in this world. Like there's no one better than me because there's no one better than the version I was when I was the best. Like I became the best hypnotist in the world at like 20. I'm 26 and I trump that version of me. So in my head, it's like, who's willing to put in the work this much, this hard? If you're a narcissist, you're delusional. You think you've put in 2-3 years of work and you're better than everyone else. You don't realize that there's someone else that's working harder. So I'm like, no one will outstudy me. No one will outpractice me. No one's going to work harder than me in this field ever, period. No one. Done.
How do you scale internal confidence?
You face whatever makes you uncomfortable. Confidence equals comfort. Whatever makes you uncomfortable, if you step into it long enough, it will become comfortable. The more uncomfortable situations you put yourself in, eventually those uncomfortable situations turn comfortable. And then eventually the level above that, which I call true confidence, is you get comfortable with uncomfortable things. So anything that makes you uncomfortable is now comfortable. And that's when you're able to infinitely scale your confidence. The second you see someone more confident than you are now at the same level because you witnessed that it's possible. So often I saw people who are confident, for example, on stage, and I'm like, oh, I could do that, and instantly became the same, if not better.
One of your quotes, if you're programmed not to be successful, success is impossible. If you're programmed to be successful, success is inevitable.
Yep. And it's true. I think that if you're programmed to fail, you will fail. If you're programmed to be fat, you will be fat. I do not care how many diets you go on, how often you try to go on the treadmill, you will still fucking get on that scale and you will be fatter because in your head, you're a fucking fat ass and nothing you can do will change that. Now, if you reprogram your brain, I do not care how hard you try to gain weight, you're going to be fucking skinny. How often you meet someone who's skinny and says, I can't gain muscle, I can't, and they always have a six pack, and it looks like they eat like shit. But the truth is, if you really look at how many calories they're not eating that much. They might order 50 pounds of food and then eat a few bites and not finish it. And then you look at someone who's fat and they're like eating healthy, but then they eat like 50 fucking meals and they gain weight. So if you just look at someone long enough, someone who's fat, I know why you're fat. Oh, my thyroid's. No, motherfucker, it's because you're fucking fat and you eat like a pig.
Yeah.
If you're broke, it's because you have the habits of someone who's broke. And if you look at the root cause, it's because you're programmed to have the life that you have. If you want to change your life, you got to change your programming.
And how do you do that?
Hypnosis. There's no other way. Repetition does not change your programming. Repetition is just willpower. You do it over and over and over again. You form a quote unquote habit, but then there's still a part of you that you didn't change inside, and that part of you will come out. That's why people change their habits. They do really well. They start to peak. They make a ton of money, and then they lose it all. Why? Because you never got rid of the part of you that was still there. Unless you change the program, eventually you will end up where you started or wherever you're supposed to go.
Being an advocate for hypnosis, do you see any merit to things like tapping, manifestation, energy work, those types of things?
It's all hypnosis. So if you believe in it, it works. If you want to understand the credibility of hypnosis, I'll tell you, every medication, period, every major medication, any medication in the world is compared to the placebo, every single one. Placebo is hypnosis. How? Doctor comes in, he's not your hypnotist. He gives you a suggestion. This pill will change your life. If you believe him, you get better. You don't believe him, you don't get better. This pill will make you sick, called the nocebo effect. This thing will change, this thing will hurt you. It then hurts. You'll give him a needle with a shot. You're like, hey, it could be saline. Doesn't hurt at all. This is going to hurt really fucking bad. You put it in their arm. They believe you because you're a doctor. You have the authority. You're the hypnotist. You give them the suggestion. It hurts. Same thing with everything else. Tapping. Guys, tapping has worked for my friends. It's worked for them. I believe in tapping. They go tap. They could tap your fucking ear. Not even tap the places they're supposed to. Yeah. And suddenly it changed their life. Why? Because they believed it. It's all belief. Whatever you do, if you change your beliefs, you change your programming.
What's your best persuasion hack?
Towards someone else? Authority. Just be confident. Tell someone what to do with confidence and watch them do it. Stop. Come here. No. Let's go, guys. Guys, let's go. Now. Come. They'll do it. There's something called the Milgram experiment. I wrote about this in my book. I have a best-selling book. One of the first chapters of the book is about this experiment. And Stanley Milgram, his whole family gets murdered in the Holocaust. And he's watching these Nazis on trial, and every single Nazi says, I was just following orders. They're asking him, why'd you do it? I was just following orders. He goes, maybe they're not lying. Let me do an experiment. So he sets up an experiment where he has a teacher and a student. The teacher is going to be the volunteer. The student is an actor. They don't know that. They take a ticket. You and I walk in. We both take a ticket. I'm the actor. You're the volunteer. I go around the other side of the wall because I got student, you got teacher. They put an electric device on your arm, shock you to show you it's real, and they attach it to me. Now you go to the other side of the wall. On the table is this massive control panel, like grid, with voltage from 0 all the way up to 450. When you get to 250 plus, it tells you deadly, don't go here. Anyways, every time you ask me a question, I get it wrong or I don't answer, you have to go up. And what percentage of people do you think went all the way to 450 volts? The completely fatal, like the average outlet, to give you perspective, in the US is 110 volts. You could kill yourself from that. How many people do you think went all the way to 450 volts, interrogating, so, as a teacher, asking me questions, and every time I get it wrong, you have to, for shock therapy as an experiment, that was the frame. How many people do you think went all the way?
No one.
70%.
Wow.
60 to 70%. That's the average. Now, and they've repeated this experiment over 40 plus times since then. Now, how many people do you think went to 250 volts?
100.
100%. 100%. Now, when you look at that, it's like, well, why did they do it? It's because someone in authority, someone who had authority, told them to do it. Now, you might be sitting there and be like, I wouldn't do it. Well, if your ancestors did not follow authority, they would have gotten killed. So as an evolutionary tactic ingrained into your very DNA, your brain knows if I don't follow the authority, I die. Or I get kicked out of the tribe, which means death. So as a survival mechanism, anything with authority, we follow. Super interesting. But that's how they get most of what they want done.
When the time comes, I hope death finds you alive. One of your quotes as well.
It's not mine, but it's a quote I really liked. And
it's an African proverb, I believe.
I
reworded it a bit.
Yes. Yeah. I really, really like that quote because you don't know when you're going to die. Could happen today, could happen tomorrow. I'll give you an example. One of my friends from high school, one of my best friends from high school, valedictorian in high school, valedictorian in college, All-American baseball player. I am now 3.5 weeks older than he was when he died. He died in March. And he was going to travel. He lands in Athens, goes outside to take a phone call, car hits him, he dies. So much potential, never used drugs, never drank, nothing. Perfect, everything. Valedictorian, #1, everything he does, successful, hit by a car, dead.
Yeah.
You never know. 26, just turned 26 7 days before. A week before was his birthday, he was celebrating it on a trip to Europe. Dead. Lands in the airport, excited to go to his next destination, gets out to taxi, phone call, gets hit by a car. So to me, it's like, you really sit there and you think, hey, when am I going to die? You don't fucking know. Today could be every day I wake up, I'm like, is today my last day? Is today my last night in bed? Is this my last time ever seeing this person? These are the questions that run through my head when I'm with someone. And I think that's why I'm able to be present and enjoy the moment.
How do you change your lifestyle when you constantly question your own mortality?
Because you can either sit there and say, hey, I'm going to die the way I am now, or I'm going to live life the way I want to live. And in my mind, I'm like, as long as I make the most out of every moment, I'll have no regrets later on. You know, if you had 2 minutes left to live, if someone put a gun to your fucking head and they said, right now, you have 60 seconds left, and then I'm going to blow your fucking brains out. What would you do? How much would you beg for an extra 60 seconds? Just for a couple more minutes. How much would you fucking beg? If there's a gun to your fucking head, you're going to die. How much would you beg for another 2 minutes? You would do anything for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
How many minutes have you wasted before that? Not doing what you love. How many minutes have you wasted fighting with someone? Being upset, depressed, sad, sleeping in? To me, I'm like, I'm not gonna feel that way. When the time comes, I'm going to know that I made the most of every minute. I didn't spend fucking 18 hours on my phone this week. You know, I made the most of every minute.
How do you relate that to your wealth, though? I think Tristan Tate has a rule. It's like, spend half of your money like you have 50 years left and half your money like you have 50 days left.
Well, in my mind, I think that's a really good investment strategy. In my mind, the currency I judge things off of is time, not money. So for me, it's like, well, what's more important for me? Like, I have spent 50, 60, like I can get a Montana LLC for my cars, take 2 to 3 days. And then I could register it in Montana. And then I save 10% on taxes, right?
Yeah.
Every car I've bought, I register in LA. Why?
Easier. Yeah.
Why? Because I don't want to wait 2-3 days. I'm down to pay the 50, 60K extra. Just give me the car today. Because at the end of the day, I value my time. I think in time, not in money. And I think that's why I make so much money. Now, does that mean spend every dollar? No. But my philosophy has always been, make so much fucking money, you can't spend it all. Like at this point, I could try to spend my money. I can't. So I just invest it. Right. And that's kind of become the thing. So I've always thrown it back into myself, made myself feel good, always push the limits of my comfort zone. Eventually you just get into this crazy momentum where you make unlimited money.
Do you think therapy is bullshit?
I think most therapists make money on what? On fixing you? No, they make money on seeing you every week. So if they're going to see you for a certain amount of problems, it's like, do you feel good after therapy? Probably not. Probably the same. Like, come see me. 3 minutes later, your problem doesn't exist. Try to remember what you came to me for. You won't. It's gone. You know? So I can't waste time. For me, it's like, fuck the money. I don't care how much it costs. Just help me fix it right now. That's the way I think. And that's my style of coaching. Let me get you the result today. What moves the needle right now? Not what will move the needle in 4, 5, 6 months from now. What the fuck do you mean 4, 5, 6 months? What are you doing? You must not know what you're doing. It's not their fault. That's how they're taught.
People assume their problems take too long to fix.
Because they've had it their whole life. So they think that they project that belief. Oh, I've had this problem for 20 years. It might take 20 years to fix. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
You break your fucking lock or you break a window. It doesn't take, how long did it take to break? 3 seconds? Okay, Get a new window. It takes 5 minutes to fix. Okay, maybe your trauma lasted 6 months. You were at war 6 months. Cool. Fix it in 10 minutes. It's not hard. Just people don't see it that way. I don't know. It infuriates me to think that it takes years to change. It takes years but people like problems. Like, I think the reason you don't change is because you like it. If you really wanted to change, you'd go to someone like me. If you don't want to change, just go see your therapist. They'll listen to you all day long. People come to me, hey, I have this problem. I don't care. What do you want? No, but let me tell you about my problem. Go tell your therapist about your problem. When you're done, come tell me what you want. Like, I'm not here to listen to problems.
Problems can be addicting.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about problems. Don't talk to me about your problems. Like, if I'm going out with someone, I'm dating someone, and they cry or they're upset, get the fuck out. Don't talk to me. Come back when you're happy.
I do think coaching or being mentored by someone is very important, though.
The right
And I
person.
think what you just said is a very good way to vet out people. If people are asking about your problems and not your goals, then they're probably not the best.
If you ever got on a sales call with me or my team, we'll never ask you about your problems. We'll ask you what you want. That's it. No one's going to ever talk to you about your problems. Because if you talk about the problems, what are you supposed to focus on? What you don't want or what you want?
That's a very common sales tactic. Is they usually try to unpeel the onion of what are the problems and your biggest bottlenecks and
I
stuff.
never get buyer's remorse because we don't focus on the problem. It's just, what do you want? What are your goals? Cool, let me help you get them. Buyer's remorse comes from let me pressure you by feeling this pain really bad. They know their problem. That's why they're on the phone with you. Why would I continue to talk about your problem? I don't even want to talk about your problem. I don't care about your problems. What do you want? Period.
Well, I guess before you hypnotize me, Marczell, is there anything else that no one's asked you before that you'd like to talk about?
You know, I think a really good question, which no one really asks me on a podcast, is how did I become this version of me? And I think the simplest answer is every time something made me feel insecure or something didn't make me feel good, I would address it. And a lot of people avoid their problems. And the way they deal with them is by talking about them, not by changing them. I don't like talking about my problems because I never liked getting sympathy. I never liked getting attention for it. I just wanted to fix it. I wanted to get rid of the feeling because it didn't feel good to me. I'm like, I don't like this feeling. Let me feel good. I really resonate with feeling happy. I cannot resonate with depression or any of that. So for me, if I were to give anyone advice, if you want to have the best mindset ever, stop focusing on telling people your problems. Focus on solving them. And that's something I'm very good at doing. I'm very good at problem solving, whether it's in business or personal life. Problem solving is my number one. I think that's my number one skill over everything else. Problem solving.
What do you think about telling people your goals?
Do it. If you believe you're going to get it, why wouldn't you do it? You know, people are like, well, if you tell someone your goals, then suddenly you're not motivated anymore because you got the same dopamine hit that you would have if you accomplished it. No, you don't. I disagree. Like, I'm going to have stadiums of 30,000 to 50,000 people.
I don't know anyone who agrees with that. Like, if you told someone you're going to do something and then you do it, it does not feel the same at all.
It doesn't. Accomplish your goal. Go tell me it feels the same as, oh, I talked about it. If anything, it's like, yeah, I've been fucking talking about it. Conor McGregor, Messi, Kobe, MJ, all of them said, I'm going to be this and be the best in the world. They became the best in the world. Don't tell anyone your goals. Sounds like a poor person came up with that quote. It's just like...
It feels good, but it doesn't feel nearly the same as actually.
It feels good because you're doing it. I'm talking about it because I'm doing it. If your friends don't want to listen to your goals and don't want to hear you, but for granted, like, hey, if you've talked about it for 3 years and done nothing and you still work at fucking Panda Express, fine. But if you're talking about it and you're doing something about it and your friends are happy to hear it, awesome. If they're not your friends anymore. Time to move on. Get new friends.
Marczell, so one time you hypnotized your friend to lose his virginity.
Wasn't me. This is when I first saw someone get hypnotized. So I went to San Diego State University, and, you know, as you know, the girls there are very, very pretty. My friend, he's 5'8", gets called up on stage, gets hypnotized. Hypnotist goes, sleep. You're super confident, gets out of hypnosis, comes off the stage. Prettiest girl in the 400-person room walks by. He puts his hand out, spins her around, makes out with her. I'm like, what the fuck? Takes her home, sleeps with her. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go study hypnosis. Because in that moment, his life changed instantaneously. I'm like, that hypnotist, in less than 5 minutes, changed my friend's life. Now, he's currently a millionaire. He's married. And I look at that and I say, okay, if a hypnotist could change someone's life so drastically in 5 minutes, I should obviously go learn this. And in doing so, I've personally seen people go from nothing to everything. I've seen people go from, like, I took a company from 30 million to $1 billion in 10 months. From 30 million to $1 billion in 10 months. The way I did that was, one, hypnotizing the owner to think way bigger, get into abundance, get out of the mentality he was in when he started this. And two, there was a lot of strategies they weren't implementing. And as soon as they did, and we emulated very successful people, as soon as they did, the company's trajectory just completely changed. Income changed, everything changed. And what I could tell you is, I don't care where you're at. If you have some level of success and you want to go to the next level, it can happen for you like that. It is so easy. Once you're already there, it's so fucking easy to scale.
You hypnotized someone to stop vaping.
I have the world record to hypnotize people to quit.
How many people have you done that to?
Honestly, thousands. Like, I've hypnotized hundreds of thousands of people at this point, and I've helped thousands of people quit smoking. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. Most hypnotherapists were like, oh, you know, 5 to 6 sessions and maybe 70% of people quit. 100% of people quit. Come fucking see me. Come to a seminar. I'll make you quit on the fucking spot. So much so that if they see anything, a vape, a joint, a cigarette, they will throw up from across the fucking room if they see it. That's how extreme it is. I called up 20 people at my last event. I'm like, who here smokes? Everyone come up on stage. Like, come up. Sleep, 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 sleep. Made everyone quit. One at a time. 10 minutes later, no one could touch a fucking vape, cigarette, or weed. None.
I actually do Zens. I might have you make me stop it.
I could do it right now.
So, audience, since we had the founder of this company on the podcast, I've started using his product. And now I do nicotine. So I'm going to do my last one why Marczell hypnotizes me to stop doing nicotine.
You ever get food poisoning?
Yes. Yeah.
And how'd you feel?
Like deeply, deeply sick. Yeah.
Okay. So can I do it from here?
Yeah, for sure. Let's just keep that. Yeah,
All right,
that's fine.
there we go. All right, are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Let me see your left hand. Look at your left hand for me. Look at the lines in your hand. Just sleep all the way down. All the way. Completely relaxing your mind, your body. All the way down. Completely letting go. Now with 5, 4, 3, relax your arm. 2, 1, and sleep. Eyes open, 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 sleep. Completely relaxing all the way down, all the way deep. Now with 5, going deeper than you've ever gone before. 3, 2, and deep sleep. Completely letting go. In a moment, you'll find your eyes are so heavy and so relaxed you can't even open your eyes. Go and test it out. Notice you can't, and just sleep. Notice that stuckness moves all the way down from the top of your head, all the way down to the bottom of your body, into that chair. The more you try to move from this chair, the harder it becomes. You're now stuck to the chair. Try and move. Notice you can't, and just sleep. Completely relaxing. That stuckness now moves to your tongue. The more you try to move your tongue, the harder it becomes. Try and say something. Notice you can't. I want you to imagine that feeling you had in your body when you had food poisoning. Think about the nausea and how fucking horrible that feeling was. And I want you to imagine the most disgusting piece of raw chicken in front of you because it's been sitting out for days in the sun, rotting. There's mold on it, and there's literally a homeless guy's shit rubbed all over this raw chicken, and the smell is disgusting. Like, you could not even get near it because the smell is so wretched. Try and smell that now. Oh my God. Oh my God. Just think about that smell. And now imagine a bunch of spiders. And that spider has now laid a bunch of babies all over it. Hundreds of babies crawling all over this raw chicken. How would you feel in your mind? Imagine that. How would you feel if you had now put all those baby spiders, raw shit, and chicken in your mouth? Think about how sick you would feel. Take that feeling and put it into every piece of nicotine, cigarette, vape, weed in the world, and bring that into your mind now. Feeling that feeling, if you knew you'd feel that feeling, how would you feel right now with that piece of nicotine in your mouth? And make that feeling 10,000 times worse. In a moment when I snap my fingers, you'll be completely wide awake. And the more you think about doing any of this, the more sick you get. But on the other side, you'll be more confident than you've ever been. You'll feel fucking amazing. And anytime you even think about doing it, not only do you get disgusted, you feel a burst of confidence immediately in the other direction, and you'll never do it again. Eyes open, wide awake.
I just want to get it out.
How do you feel?
I can tell the audience that Marczell actually just froze me and I couldn't speak. That's legit. I don't know about the nicotine though.
Hit it then. Go ahead and put it in your mouth.
There is a little more hesitation.
The more you try, the more disgusting it gets. Think about the spiders in your mouth, crawling in your mouth. It's fine. Just put it in your mouth. Perfect. Now feel that feeling. Sleep. Eyes open, sleep. All the way down, sleep. Try and remember to forget and just let go and sleep. I want you to find the part of you that needs nicotine now and find the positive intention behind it. Maybe it's to make you feel better, maybe to help you relax. When you find that, take a deep breath. Now ask yourself if you could still fulfill this positive intention without doing nicotine or without smoking or any of that. If you could replace it with a different habit or feeling. If you have that, go ahead and take a deep breath. Perfect. I want to thank that part of you, and I want you to ask yourself, what do you really get out of this now that you've changed this habit? Does it make you look good? Does it align with your vision? Does it align with how you want people to see you? If not, I want you to see the past version of you as a version of you that is no longer who you are. It's outdated. It's old. You can't even associate to the desire of doing this. It's just not who you are. Now imagine how much healthier you are in the future, how much smarter, how much sharper you are. Now think about what it'll look like without the nicotine. Do you feel more fulfilled or less? If you feel more fulfilled, take a deep breath. Perfect. In a moment, you'll find your eyes are completely stuck, and the only time your eyes will open is when you know you no longer need to do that.
I think that one was more effective. Yeah.
How do you feel now?
I feel better. Yeah.
You want to do it?
I want to, but I would rather take the other steps that I think will give me what it was giving me before.
And why do you want to?
Why do I want to do it?
Mm-hmm.
I want energy.
So can you have energy without it?
Yeah.
Can Can you have a lot of energy without it?
Probably more. Yeah.
What would you need to have energy? Woo! Is that gonna help you or no?
Not as much as other stuff. No.
What's other stuff?
Hypnosis, probably. Health.
Go like
diet.
this.
Yeah.
Actually, do you have a piece of paper with a? Do you have a regular piece of paper? Okay, on the back of that, write energy. Okay, that's in one hand. On the other one, get another one.
Mm-hmm.
Write nicotine. Which hand do you want energy in? Which hand do you want nicotine in? Hold it like this. Take your thumbs, only with your thumbs. Go to the corner of the paper and go like this and pull your arms in like this. Perfect. And I want you to imagine that both fingers are like magnets. They're getting tighter and tighter and tighter, just squeezing and pressing and pushing. And the hand on the right represents nicotine. The hand on the left represents energy. You can only have one or the other. Both are currently stuck because you're conflicted. There's a part of you that wants to do nicotine, and there's a part of you that wants energy without it.
Yep.
To have both, you have to be all in on one or the other. You will unconsciously find that the version of you that you pick will remain in your hands, and the other one will become unstuck. But it will be impossible to let go of both at the same time. One will be stuck. The one that's stuck is the one that you will keep. On your left hand, you have energy. On your right hand, you have nicotine. You find your fingers are completely stuck now. You cannot drop them. Notice, you cannot. In a moment, your mind will pick one. And when it does, you'll feel completely committed and all in on whatever is left. When you're ready, make that decision and notice it becomes unstuck on the one that you are letting go of.
I think my fingers just stuck to it.
You drop nicotine. So now energy is what's left. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to move that energy through your whole body, and you find that the part of your body that was stuck becomes unstuck because the energy moves from your fingers through the rest of your body, and it feels like a shock wave in 3, 2, 1. Eyes open, wide awake. Woo! How do you feel?
Energetic.
You want nicotine?
Not as much.
Do you want nicotine?
I want to say yes, but I don't think I'd put it in my mouth.
Try and put it in your mouth. That nicotine's stuck to the table. Try and put it in your mouth. Honestly, try and pick it up.
I don't even want to go toward it.
Try it. What's happening? See, your conscious memory of how you used to be is conflicting with your unconscious programming. Your unconscious programming doesn't want it, but your conscious memory thinks you do. So just wipe that, forget about it, forget how you were, and just think about how you are now. And how you are now, do you want that?
No.
How sure are you? You're 100% sure.
100% sure.
You want it?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
It's right there.
I was going to say, I think it'll taste bad.
So pick it up.
I'm good, Marczell. I think I'm chilling.
Then throw it away.
Oh. There's no trash can in here, but...
There's one right there. There we go.
Oh.
There we go. All right, what's that feeling?
Everyone watching, that's from Sweden. You can't get that in America. What's the feeling? Oh, it feels good, but that's tough. I don't know.
You miss it? You can take out all the trash.
I think it'd be better without it.
You sure?
I think so.
If you want to know why you're feeling conflicted, by the way, it's not because you're addicted to the nicotine. It's because you're addicted to whatever the nicotine means to you. What does it help you with? What have you associated that thing to?
Relaxation, energy.
But it's not true. How do you have both at the same time? How can you be relaxed and energetic at the same time?
Intention. Yeah.
So is it the nicotine?
So it's fake. Placebo.
So do you want it? Wouldn't you rather have complete control?
Yeah.
Think about it. Do you want it?
Not really, no.
Now's your chance. This isn't to make me look good. This is to make you quit. I don't give a fuck about how I look on this.
I think I'm good. Yeah.
What changed? What clicked?
Seems gross. Seems like I don't need it.
Do you believe that?
I'd say so. Good shit, Marcell. You drink coffee?
Decaf, sometimes for flavor, but not really. About 20% of the population, caffeine doesn't do shit for them. I'm part of that. So
Really?
I could drink a shit ton of coffee before bed, fall asleep. I wish.
Yeah, everyone watching, also Marcell helped me very strangely. I couldn't swallow pills that well, and I just did his one of his, I don't know, patterns of hypnosis, and can swallow pills very easily now. Very strange.
Do that after we're done. You should listen to it. That'll finalize this for you.
What will?
Listen to that audio again when we're done with this.
Oh yeah, I can listen to that on repeat.
Yeah, do it. You'll see. That'll probably close the door on that for you.
How do you sell something for $1 million?
You're not selling it. I think that's why people get it wrong. You cannot sell something for $1 million. You qualify someone to see if you should let them get it. You know, when you buy a house, you're buying the house. Like, no one ever says, hey, go sell this $1 million house. That's not the perspective of the buyer. The perspective of the buyer is, hey, can we get approved for this house? Can we qualify for this house? Can you get someone to qualify to pay you $1 million? In order to do that, you got to be valuable enough to where people want to pay you $1 million.
Damn, that's one of the best things I've heard you say in a while. How would you sell like a private jet?
First of all, if you want someone to buy something expensive, you want to highlight the result of having it, get them excited, seeing the result, take it away from them. Why should I let you, in simplest format, why should I let you get it then? Tell me why you should be the one to get it. But very subtly, very candidly, very organically, not like, why the fuck should I let you buy this? Like, you'll break a rapport instantly. They'll say, go fuck yourself, right? Very subtly, like, okay, cool. If I were to let you have this, like, what would you do with it? Where would you take it? Why should you represent our brand over someone else's brand? And then they'll continue. The more they invest in answering these questions, the more in your frame they are, the more they're qualifying themselves, the more they want it. And then at the end, when you approve them or you allow them to, it's exhilarating for them. They're like, holy shit, I can't wait to pay. They're saying thank you for letting them pay you rather than you begging them to buy.
It's almost the opposite of low ticket sales.
It's the complete opposite. If I have to sell you something, I no longer have the frame. I no longer have control. It's a horrible dynamic. Horrible.
What's the most expensive thing you've ever sold?
Sold? Or like made in a day? I mean, the most expensive thing, at least what it's worth now, would be $1 million for coaching, and then I got 0.5% of a company, which is currently worth over $25 million. So I guess I made $26 million in like 15 minutes. That would be but it's going up. Like, that equity is continuously going up. It's probably going to go up to 50, 60 million in the next 4 or 5 years. So.
And how'd you do that?
The same way I just told you. Highlight the result, qualify, close. I have more equity in that company than any other investor that's invested there, and they've invested millions and millions of dollars. There's investors that have invested $30+ million into that company, and I have more equity than they do.
How do you justify it as someone being like a hypnotist that you're going to get equity in their company?
Well, they were only able to raise that much capital because I taught them how to raise the capital. They weren't able to go get that capital before.
You taught them the confidence, or you taught them actual
No, I literally
information?
told them, this is how you're going to literally walk in front of these investors. This is what you're going to say. This is how you're going to say it. This is where you're going to point. This is what you're going to say to this person and this person. These are the words you're going to use to get them to want to throw money at you, which is exactly what happened. Their first pitch, first meeting, first investor gave them all the money they wanted for the round, and at a much higher valuation than they initially intended on.
Do you have any other crazy things you've done with hypnosis?
Yeah, so my friend's car got towed, and we went to the tow yard, and they're like, hey, you have to pay $350 to get your car back. And I looked at my friend, I'm like, give me a second. And I hypnotized all of the employees at the tow yard to be stuck to the ground and to go get his car. And they opened the gate, gave us the car. We got the car for free. Didn't have to pay for it.
You what?
That's one of the craziest
You
things. You
hypnotized them to be stuck to the ground?
Literally
like
stuck to the ground.
So like this was like an offensive move. They weren't like down to be hypnotized.
They didn't even know what hypnosis was. They still don't know what happened. I guarantee it. But that's because they fucking towed his car.
How'd you do that? What'd you say to them?
So we parked his car outside. Curb was gray. We went inside to a restaurant, and in that time, they painted the whole curb red. Then they towed his car. And I'm like, don't worry, you're not paying for this. So we went to the tow yard. I walked up to the guy. I'm like, hey, started talking to him, started laughing. He was like, what's going on? Hypnotized him. His friend saw him get hypnotized, which automatically reinforces suggestion and makes it look like way more authoritative, makes him believe it. His brain now knows to model what his friend is doing. Hypnotized his friend to be stuck, then hypnotized the other guy to be stuck, and then made them open the gate and give us the car. And then forget about it.
Wow. And
then I did that as well. Something similar. I got pulled over for a speeding ticket. Well, they wanted to.
Yeah. Do you ever get tickets?
No, I don't. I had a ticket once in 2020, but that's because I fucked up. I didn't do what I was just pussy. I pussied out on doing what I know how to do. But since then, I haven't gotten a ticket. I'll get pulled over. I won't get a ticket though.
So how do you use hypnosis to not get a ticket?
So I can explain it, or I could actually tell you to go watch a video. My buddy Spidey. Actually, no, he took it down. Fuck. Well, the idea is simple. When you have a police officer come up to you then, and he's like, hey, can I, what does he say? He's like, go ahead and say it.
License registration?
Or do you know why?
Do we know why I'm
So they just made it illegal to ask that. They have to say, I pulled you over because blah, blah, blah. Can I see your license or registration is what they're going to say now. The answer to that would be what? Remember, they're launching a pattern. The pattern is to say that. It's a script, right? So you say, yeah, no problem. Immediately, walls go down. But you just opened up this filter between their subconscious mind and you. And then you say something like a pattern interrupt, like where's the nearest gas station? Or do you know where the closest mall is? Something random, right? They might be like, what? Like, yeah, do you know where it is? Was it this exit or that exit? They'll be like, oh, it's that way. You start repeating them. You go, so is that north or south? Get kind of confused. Then you say, sometimes just forget. And you start anchoring the word forgetting. You confuse them a little bit more. And then you're like, okay, yeah, no worries. And you talk about going. Like, oh, yeah, it's so funny. Like, thank God I found you because, without you, I would have never been able to find this. You change the meaning of the entire interaction. You're reframing it subtly by changing the frame. Your tonality is very, very consistent, very casual, so they don't pick up any like red flags and take them out of trance. And then you go, okay, I could just go now. And then they go, yeah, go. And then you better get the fuck out and probably exit the freeway and, forget about it because they'll be confused for like 20, 30, 40, maybe even a minute, 40 seconds, 50 seconds. But then they're going to be like, what the fuck? And then they might come after you again. So you want to get the fuck out.
That's really interesting. How many times have you used that? Can't say.
I've never used it, but if I were to use it, maybe like 25, 30 times.
Can you use hypnosis and gambling?
Yeah, you can. I have a friend who's banned from every casino in the world because of it.
It's not Mickey?
No, it's another friend. But yeah, theoretically you can, let's say you're playing blackjack and you win. You go, yes. You're creating a trigger. For every time you win, you say yes. 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 You lose once, you go, yes. You win anyways. Then you go again. Yes. You win again. And even if you lose, you're winning every time. Because they're just in trance. They're just on autopilot.
Is it the consistency of how you say it? Or is it
how you say it, when you say it, the timing?
If you get it to be a perfect pattern, it's effective.
You just have to be consistent. So like, for example, every time you win, you say this thing. And then you do it again and again and again, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Then you test it. When you lose, you go, yes. And if they give you your winning hand, good job. It works.
I'm guessing you haven't tried that one.
No, I don't really gamble. But, I mean, I've tried it, but not like in a casino, like private games, like weddings and shit like that.
You think it's effective?
I mean, it works pretty well, but, I'm not playing for real money. I don't like scamming people.
Yeah.
But, if you were to do it, that's how it would work. Like, that's one way. Another way is playing poker. I'm really good at playing poker. I suck at poker, but I'm really good at reading people. Like, one of my friends is probably one of the best players in the whole world. He's ranked like number 5 in the whole world, number 2 in Europe. His name's Johan. And every time we play, I fucking crush it. Like, I read the whole table. I know what everyone's doing. He goes, if you just played less hands, you'd probably be one of the best players in the world.
Why haven't you gone into that?
I'm not passionate about poker. I get bored. I can't sit down at a table playing for like 6, 8, 9, 10 hours. Like, I just can't do it.
Well, everyone, this has been the Jack Neel Podcast. This is your guest, Marczell Klein.
Thanks for having me.
Where can everyone find you, Marczell?
YouTube, Marczell Klein. My name's spelled with a Z, Marczell. Klein, like Alvin Klein, Klein, or on Instagram, just at Marczell.
And how do you spell Marcel?
Marczell.
Cool. You want anyone to DM you a certain word?
Yeah, if you guys want a free gift, DM me the word hypnosis, and I'll send you guys a free hypnosis audio. I mean, it's not free, but I'll give it to you for free.
Thank you, Marcel.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome.